Welcome, dear sect disciples. How are you all doing? So, today we have brought another story for you. And trust me, this one is absolute madness. Imagine being the #1 playboy in the city, but overnight, your dad disappears, leaving you with a mind-blowing debt of 2 trillion yuan and a one-way ticket to prison. Just when our boy Xiao Lin thinks he's fading away, boom, a literal system cheat code binds to his soul, giving him a measly 1 hour to live unless he forms contracts with stunning goddesses. You guys will not believe the chaos that unfolds. Our hero goes from getting absolutely beaten down to throwing a single punch that sends an undefeated, steel-muscled giant flying across the ring. And talk about playing with fire. During a petty class reunion, the arrogant class monitor tries to humiliate him, but the jaw-dropping drama hits a whole new level when a motorcycle goddess, a gorgeous doctor in a luxury sports car, and the business queen herself in a literal red helicopter all show up, claiming to be his girl. Everyone in that room was left sweating bullets and crying waterfalls of pure jealousy. But it's not all romance and luxury, friends. Dark assassin societies are lurking in the shadows. Locked room murders are happening right under his nose, and Xiao Lin is forced to drive a blade into his own leg just to save his deadly tenant. Who is the terrifying shadow mastermind truly behind his father's downfall? And can he survive a forced contract with a ruthless assassin queen who can choke him out with her bare thighs? To find out how this broke playboy completely flips the script and plays this dangerous game, watch this complete video. So guys, story starts right outside the Grand Chila Mountain Villa. A voice echoes with absolute desperation. Xiao Lin shouts, "Make money!" Holding a half-eaten cucumber, his eyes burn with fierce determination. He declares, "I must make money." Sitting in front of seized, taped-up portrait, he panics. "I'm young. I can't end up in prison. Otherwise, my child won't pass the political screening in the future." Guys, let me introduce you to Xiao Lin. Just half a month ago, he was known as the #1 playboy in Haicheng. But now, the reality is crushing him. He mutters, "But now I not only have a debt of 2 trillion, but also face the threat of imprisonment." He stares at the sealed furniture around him. Half a month ago, my old man suddenly committed a serious crime, leaving behind astronomical debt for my Qiling group. Overnight, I went from heaven to hell, experiencing the harsh reality of the world. Suddenly, his phone lights up on the floor with a soft chime. It's his girlfriend calling. Picking it up with a hopeful smile, he answers, "Hello, babe, how are you?" But her response is ice cold. "Xiao Lin, I passed the civil service exam. Let's break up." Look, guys, you can literally see his soul leave his body right here. He is completely devastated. Furious, Xiao Lin yells into the phone, "You? What do you mean? Leaving after achieving success?" She calmly replies, "Xiao Lin, I'm sorry, but your debts are just too much." Well, that's what you get for trusting a woman, guys. His anger instantly turns into pathetic begging. He stutters, "Fine, I understand, but can you return the money I gave you before? Even half of it would be okay." The only answer he gets is a cold beep, beep, as she hangs up. Guys, I'm wondering how much money did he gave her that only half can clear the debt of 2 trillion. Afterwards, he collapses onto his dusty, seized sofa with a heavy thud, letting out a long, defeated sigh. Crying softly, he looks at a blue teardrop pendant resting in his palm. "Mom, I only have this pendant you gave me left now." He remembers taking it to the pawn shop yesterday, hoping to get some runaway money. But then the terrible realization hits him. It's fake. It turned out to be fake. Frustrated, he thought, "Crying won't help. I have to face reality and do something, not just wait around." Xiao Lin suddenly stands up, changing his clothes, eyes blazing with a new plan. There's still half a year until the trial, and the only person who can save Qiling Group is that woman. If I can win her over, maybe there's still a glimmer of hope. In the next scene, he stands outside the towering Galaxy Group building, staring at a massive digital billboard. He admires Yilan, the CEO of Galaxy Group, known as the Queen of Business. He thinks to himself, she turned Galaxy Group from loss to profit within a quarter of a year. Standing tall and holding his business proposal, a confident smirk forms on his face. She's my target. Just then, he accidentally bumps into a mysterious woman wearing a mask. With a heavy thud, he stumbles back and cries out, "Ouch!" Rubbing his aching shoulder, he snaps, "Hey, are you crazy?" As he watches her walk away, he thinks, "Oof, that hurts. Is it a woman? She's really strong." Meanwhile, the masked woman in thigh-high boots, Yu Xian, walks away into the night, visibly annoyed. He grumbles, "What bad luck." High above the city streets, Yu Xian stands on a desolate rooftop, the wind blowing against her coat. With a sharp click, a blue guitar case is opened, revealing a sleek, dangerous sniper rifle hidden inside. Yu Xian takes her position, her eyes cold and focused. "It's about time for her to show up," the assassin whispers. Peering through the sniper scope, she locks her sights on the 2 women walking down the quiet sidewalk below. Down on the street, it's none other than Yilan, the elegant CEO, accompanied by her fierce, pink-haired bodyguard, Man. Suddenly, Xiao Lin rushes out from the shadows right towards them. "Monsieur, I'm Xiao from Qiling Group," he calls out desperately. Immediately, Man steps forward, fiercely blocking his path. Xiao Lin pleads, "I have a $1 billion deal that I want to discuss with you. Can you spare me a few minutes?" But Man barks back, "Get out of the way, Don't block the path. Refusing to give up, Xiao Lin tries to push past her. Don't stop me. I'm going all out today, he shouts. Mayan quickly grabs his wrist with an iron grip. He stammers nervously. Hey, what are you doing? Let's talk calmly. But with incredible strength, she violently flings him through the air, yelling, Get out of the way, far away. Xiao Lin spins through the air, completely confused. Huh? You threw me at the wrong direction. Up on the roof, Yuxian sees her perfect opening through the scope. It's right now, she mutters, tightening her finger on the trigger. What happens next will completely shock you guys. Just as the rifle fires, the airborne Xiao Lin perfectly intersects the bullet's path. A devastating impact hits his back, and a crimson mist fills the air. He literally just became a human shield for Yilan, who stares in absolute shock. Down below, Mayan is totally flustered, frantically looking around. What happened? Which direction did the bullet come from? Meanwhile, up on the roof, the assassin Yuxian is just as confused. She stares in disbelief and curses. Nonsense! I ended the wrong target again. Trust me guys, this guy has the worst luck in the entire world. A devastating mark blossomed across Xiao Lin's back as he collapsed. He thought in a daze, what's going on? Looks like I took the hit. Yilan dropped to her knees, desperately holding on to him. She pleaded, Wake up, don't leave me. You just saved my life, please hold on. His hand trembled as he touched Yilan, the harsh reality of the situation sinking in. He thought to himself, is this what fading away feels like? My body feels so limp. I can clearly feel it, the end is here. Guys, I think he is feeling something different. Suddenly, a soft, ethereal light began to pulse from his teardrop pendant with a gentle hum. In his final moments, Xiao Lin cursed his fate. He thought, this is just my absolute worst luck. Not only do I owe a staggering 2 trillion, but now my journey ends here too. In the next scene, a breathtaking vision of a majestic, blossoming courtyard appeared before his eyes. Voices echoed from the real world, shouting for an ambulance, but Xiao Lin's mind was somewhere else entirely. He looked up in awe, thinking the divine goddess palace? Is this paradise? Well, at least it looks like I'm not heading downward. Just then, a futuristic blue interface flashed before his eyes with a crisp chime. A mechanical voice announced that the goddess contract system had been activated, and it was starting to bind to him. Completely bewildered, he wondered aloud what was happening. A moment later, the system confirmed the binding was successful. The glowing text revealed that the system had successfully revived him, granting a mere 1-hour lifeline. To survive longer, he needed to form contracts with goddesses, earning intimacy points to exchange for survival items. Floating in the digital void, Xiao Lin clenched his fists. He muttered, it seems like I've activated a cheat code. But who cares? I only have an hour left to exist anyway. But guys, this is where the story gets incredibly interesting. The scene shifted to a bright hospital corridor. Xiao Lin stared blankly at the ceiling, trying to process his miraculous recovery. He thought in disbelief, it clearly struck me right in the chest, so how am I perfectly fine? He quickly realized, this isn't just some medical miracle. This is straight up divine intervention. With a sudden rustle of the sheets, Xiao Lin bolted upright in his hospital bed. Yilan, who had been watching over him, breathed a heavy sigh of relief. She said softly, You're awake. You finally woke up. Touching his head, Xiao Lin realized the truth. He thought, I'm still here. That goddess contract system wasn't just a fading dream. It's absolutely real. Leaning in close, Yilan's eyes were filled with genuine gratitude. She smiled warmly. That's wonderful news. You really scared me back there. She promised him, her voice full of sincerity, that she would remember his life-saving favor forever. But internally, Xiao Lin was panicking. He thought, no, I'm practically out of time. The system only gave me a single hour. He knew that if he could successfully form a contract with the goddess in front of him, his time would be extended. But if he failed, this borrowed hour would instantly vanish. Desperation taking over, Xiao Lin grabbed his documents and thrust them toward Yilan. He practically begged, CEO Yi, I formally invite you to join Xiao Lin Group as the president. He admitted it was a huge request, but pleaded that right now, only she could save him. Taken aback by his sudden urgency, Yilan hesitated. This. Look, I'm telling you guys, asking someone to run your bankrupt company right after taking a hit for them is a good negotiation tactic. Yilan considered his proposal carefully. She noted that while Xiao Lin Group was on the verge of ruin, the situation was complex and could still be salvaged. But she sighed, explaining that her health had been deteriorating lately, and she was actually planning to step down to rest. However, softening her gaze, she added, but since you put your life on the line and asked, I can consider it. Hearing this, Xiao Lin broke out into a comical, tearful sweat. He pleaded with absolute desperation. Big sister, please try not to consider it for more than an hour, because after an hour, there won't be anyone left to save. Suddenly, an arrogant voice echoed from the doorway. The harsh words rang out. Xiao Lin, stop your pathetic struggling. Just accept your fate and wait behind bars if you can't pay up. Striding into the room with an air of absolute superiority was Li Haoshuan, the young master of Galaxy Group. Clutching a massive bouquet of red roses, he pointed an accusatory finger at Xiao Lin. He declared coldly, My galaxy group will lift absolutely no fingers to support your ruined family. Stepping closer, Li Haoshuan's gaze turned possessive. He glared at Xiao Lin, warning him fiercely, Yilan belongs to me, so you'd better keep your distance. He demanded that Xiao Lin accept his pathetic position and embrace the total failure of his life. But guys, Xiao Lin wasn't about to back down. He smirked and challenged. Oh, is she yours? Now I'm extremely interested. Beside him, Yilan let out an incredulous gasp, while Li Haoshuan angrily retorted that Xiao Lin had 0 chances left. Holding out the extravagant bouquet of roses, Li Haoshuan made his grand demand. Yilan, marry me, he announced. He boasted that as the future wife of the Galaxy Group's chairman, she would be completely secure and would never have to worry about resigning again. Yilan, however, looked completely exhausted by this display. Waving her hand dismissively, she asked him to get up immediately. She stated firmly, I absolutely refuse your request. We are fundamentally unsuitable for each other. The rejection hit Li Haoshuan hard. His expression darkened into something truly menacing. He threatened her in a low voice, asking if she truly wanted to see the entire company completely destroyed. Yilan flinched, repeating the word in shock. The sheer stress of the situation finally took its toll. Yilan suddenly gasped, clutching her head as a wave of intense pain washed over her. Just in time, her loyal bodyguard Mayan rushed forward, catching her boss before she could fall. Mayan asked with deep concern if the terrible headaches were acting up again. Leaning heavily on her bodyguard, Yilan weakly admitted that the episodes were becoming far too frequent, making everything feel overwhelming and chaotic. Showing 0 empathy, Li Haoshuan aggressively hurled his expensive bouquet to the floor with a heavy smack, as he coldly commanded Yilan to stop her pathetic pretending. Stepping dangerously close, Li Haoshuan issued a harsh ultimatum. Are you going to accept your place as my wife, or are you choosing to become my enemy? He demanded. Yilan glared right back. She snapped that any business decisions would wait until she recovered. But as for marrying him, that was an absolute impossibility. This utter rejection pushed Li Haoshuan over the edge. Yilan, I am showing you extreme patience here. Seeing the escalating danger, Mayan immediately stepped firmly between the furious young master and her vulnerable boss. She ordered Li Haoshuan to step back and calm down, but this only enraged him further. He barked, Mayan, who do you think you are? You have massive audacity, try and stand in my way. Pointing a threatening finger directly at the bodyguard, Li Haoshuan reminded her that her paycheck came from his family's corporation, not Yilan's pockets. With a venomous sneer, he delivered a crushing threat. If she dared to block him one more time, he would personally end her career and leave her sick sister to wither away. Watching the drama unfold from his hospital bed, Xiao Lin finally recognized the fierce protector. He thought, analyzing the glowing system interface, so this fiery bodyguard is Mayan, my next contracted target. Completely losing his temper, Li Haoshuan lunged forward. Screaming horrific insults, he violently attempted to shove Mayan out of his path. But guys, before he could even lay a hand on her, a firm grip snatched his wrist midair with a sharp, echoing snap. It was Xiao Lin. He had leaped out of bed, his eyes burning with protective intensity as he ordered the young master to stop right there. Shocked by the sudden intervention, Li Haoshuan furiously demanded to know how a ruined heir dared to interfere with his powerful family's business. The answer was swift and brutal. Without a moment's hesitation, Xiao Lin swung his arm and delivered a devastating slap right across Li Haoshuan's face. The impact echoed loudly through the room as Xiao Lin coldly commanded him to show some basic respect. The room fell dead silent. Both Yilan and Mayan stood completely frozen in shock. Mayan stuttered in disbelief, barely able to process that someone actually had the guts to strike the untouchable young master. Stumbling backward, Li Haoshuan clutched his stinging, bright red cheek. But Xiao Lin had absolutely 0 to lose. He surged forward, grabbing Li Haoshuan by the collar, and unleashed a rapid barrage of punishing slaps. Completely broken and terrified by the relentless assault, the once arrogant young master finally crumbled, crying out for mercy and begging him to stop. With intense energy as Xiao Lin pointed sharply, he shouted, "Get lost!" Li Haoshuan yelled, "Fine, fine, just you wait." Meanwhile, Yilan watched with wide eyes. She thought, so domineering, this guy's great power. Look, guys, who wouldn't be impressed by a man who stands up to the villain like that? In the next scene, a pen scratched rapidly across the paper with a sharp swish. Holding the newly signed contract, Yilan beamed with a radiant smile. She said, "Xiao Lin, I have made up my mind. I believe in you." Xiao Lin completely lost his composure, throwing his arms up with sheer joy. He cheered, "My goddess, my hope." Yilan blinked in surprise, thinking, his goddess. Suddenly, a glowing system panel appeared in midair, announcing the contract was successful and granting him 7 days of lifespan. A mysterious black card materialized in his hand. Confused but amazed, Xiao Lin stuttered to ask, Is this the reward? How do I use it?" Before he could figure out, Yilan suddenly collapsed backward. She clutched her head, her face pale, and groaned, "Oh no, here we go again." Xiao Lin quickly caught her in his arms. He asked worriedly, "What is wrong?" Breathing heavily, she explained, "The reason I hesitated to sign the contract earlier is because I've been having headaches lately. My mind is fuzzy, and my memory is declining. I'm afraid I won't be able to handle the new job. Now, impulsively signing the contract, I'm afraid I won't be able to help you make a comeback." Xiao Lin's eyes lit up with realization. He thought, the reward given by the system is for both parties of the contract, and it seems like divine calculation is specifically targeting her headaches. He gently placed his hands on her head and offered, "I have learned some Chinese massage techniques. Maybe they will work." Resting back in the chair, Yilan sighed softly. "Well, I will trouble you then." Mayan crossed her arms and scoffed. "It is useless. CEO Yi has been to countless hospitals and consulted famous doctors, but no one can cure this migraine. If your massage can heal her, it will be a miracle. Come on, guys. Little does she know our boy has a literal system cheat code in his hands." With a swift motion, Xiao Lin activated the mysterious card, pressing it directly to the back of Yilan's head. He stated confidently, "My technique is unique." Instantly, a warm, sparkling aura surrounded Yilan, her cheeks flushed with absolute relief and pure bliss. Watching her boss's dramatic reaction, Chibi Man thought in sheer shock, "Does it feel that good?" Yilan jumped up, her energy completely restored. She cheered brightly. "It does not hurt anymore." Suddenly, the pain is gone. "This is unbelievable." Mayan dropped her jaw, completely stunned. She asked, "Really? It works better than any medicine?" Gazing at Xiao Lin with deep gratitude, a system notification popped up showing their intimacy points had increased. Yilan said softly, "Xiao Lin, thank you. You not only saved me, but also cured the chronic migraine that has troubled me for a long time. I do not know how to repay you." Smirking slightly, Xiao Lin thought, "So, intimate interactions after the contract can generate intimacy points. The system knows how to play." But guys, this is where the story gets interesting. Suddenly, Yilan's eyes widened in realization. She gasped, "Wait, I remember now. I remember everything." She quickly pulled out a small black flash drive, holding it up with a trembling hand. She told him urgently, "The things inside, they are related to your father." Xiao Lin took a step back, completely shocked. He asked, "My father?" "Yes. The chairman and the president's email addresses differ by 1 digit, and I accidentally received this video." Her expression turned deadly serious. She explained, "I was in a hurry at the time, so I did not have time to watch it carefully, but I can be sure that someone ended your father's life." She sighed, "Later, I forgot about it due to my migraine, but now, I remember everything." Without missing a beat, the trio marched down the hospital hallway with fierce determination. Yilan declared, "Let us go, we will go to the police station and report it." Xiao Lin's eyes burned with cold resolve. He vowed, "Whoever caused my father's downfall, I will make them pay." Suddenly, a heavy thud echoed through the corridor. A tall figure in dark boots stepped right into their path, bringing them to a jarring halt. The deadly assassin, Yu Xian, drew her blade with a sharp metallic slide. Glaring with piercing eyes over her mask, she threatened, "You cannot escape. Just accept your fate." As the tension spiked, Mayan stepped forward and scolded Xiao Lin. She shouted, "Stop talking nonsense. I hesitated when facing Li Haoshuan earlier, but you stood up like a man. Why are you acting like a coward now?" Ignoring her sharp words, Yilan grabbed Xiao Lin's hand tightly. She simply said, "Let us go," and pulled him back, running down the hall and leaving the fierce bodyguard to hold the line. But their escape was cut short. Their shoes skidded to a sudden halt against the slick floor with a loud screech. They were completely surrounded. A squad of menacing, faceless henchmen blocked the exit, entirely cutting off their path to freedom. The leader, an advanced assassin known as Black Star, stepped forward with an arrogant smirk. He taunted them, "Stop struggling. All of you will meet your end here." But guys, nobody could have imagined this. In a blur of motion, Mayan launched herself at the henchmen, striking them down with devastating force. She spun her weapon like a whirlwind, sending the faceless grunts flying backward with powerful impacts. She called out over her shoulder, "CEO Yi, I will clear the way for you." Leaping high into the air, Mayan aimed a crushing strike straight down at Black Star. She roared fearlessly, "With me, Mayan here. Who dares to hurt you?" Black Star's arrogant smirk instantly vanished, replaced by sheer panic. He thought wildly, "We miscalculated. There is such a skilled person by Yilan's side." With an unstoppable surge of power, Mayan brought her weapon crashing down toward the terrified assassin. But guys, she completely missed the target. Xiao Lin slapped his forehead with a heavy smack. He groaned, "Oh my goodness, you messed up again." Suddenly, Black Star launched a lightning-fast strike toward Mayan. He taunted her, "With such limited skills, you'd better not embarrass yourself by coming out." He reloaded his weapon with a sharp click and aimed it directly. He demanded, "CEO Yi, hand over the flash drive." Look, guys, villains always think a gun is the ultimate negotiation tool. Yilan stood her ground, unbothered by the threat. She asked, "Li Haoshuan sent you, didn't he? How much did he pay you? I'll give you double." But Black Star just sneered, leveling his gun right at her. "I don't want money," he threatened. "I just want a flash drive, or maybe your life." At this time, Xiao Lin realized things were going south. Clenching a glowing card, he thought, there's no other choice, I'll have to take a risk and try. With a dramatic surge of energy swirling around him, he shouted, Yi Lan's reward. Activate Godspeed. A gunshot echoed loudly. But right as the bullet tore through the air, Xiao Lin moved like a blur, sweeping Yi Lan off her feet and carrying her to safety. He practically threw her to safety, yelling, Take cover. Yi Lan gasped in surprise, completely caught off guard by a sudden burst of speed. The sniper Yuxian was stunned, thinking to herself, Dodging bullets with your body? Black Star was furious, yelling, What kind of dodging is that? It's absolute nonsense. Black Star unleashed a barrage of rapid fire, desperately shouting, I don't believe it that with my perfect marksmanship, I can't hit you. Yet, Xiao Lin bobbed and weaved through the gunfire like a phantom. Suddenly, the gun clicked empty. Black Star froze, realizing out of bullets. Before he could even blink, Xiao Lin was already on top of him. Black Star cried out, What kind of monster are you? Xiao Lin roared back, I'm Xiao Lin. With a heavy thud, Xiao Lin planted a devastating strike right into Black Star's face, shouting, Take this punch. But against all odds, Black Star just stood there. He smirked, What? It doesn't hurt. Instantly retaliating with a sweeping kick, he mocked, I understand now. You only know how to run. You don't have any real skills. Then why should I be afraid of you, huh? The impact sent Xiao Lin flying, crashing heavily onto the floor. Yi Lan cried out in panic, Xiao Lin. Struggling to his feet, Xiao Lin wiped his face. He cursed his own limits, thinking, It's a shame I'm only fast. If only I knew some other martial arts. Man leaped right onto Xiao Lin's shoulders, leaving him completely speechless. Come on, guys, that's one way to form a tag team, don't get any wrong idea. Startled, he demanded, What are you doing? Man fiercely replied, Xiao Lin, I can fight while you run fast. Take me with you to fight them. Standing nearby, Yi Lan could only watch in total confusion. Meanwhile, Black Star reloaded his weapon, aiming right at them with a wicked grin. He shouted, I won't miss this time. The duo dashed forward in a blur, narrowly dodging another shot. Man directed him, shouting, He's at 12 o'clock from your position. Don't mess up. Xiao Lin focused sharply, replying, Understood. Utilizing Xiao Lin's incredible speed, Man launched herself forward, delivering a thunderous, high-speed strike right into Black Star's defense. The combination was absolutely unstoppable. A flurry of devastating blows rained down on Black Star, completely overwhelming him in a matter of seconds. Watching from her hidden vantage point, the sniper Yuxian was left in sheer disbelief. She gasped, You can attack like this too? The fight was in full swing. Man, perched right on Xiao Lin's shoulders, swung her weapon with a fierce swoosh. Xiao Lin shouted, Smash him, while Black Star could only stare in pure panic. Suddenly, Yuxian stepped into the fray, her blade easily blocking Man's strike. Man's eyes widened in sheer disbelief. With a powerful, sweeping motion, Yuxian unleashed a wave of force, sending both Man and Xiao Lin stumbling backward. Man gritted her teeth, admitting, Impressive agility. Oh, I can't defeat her. Below her, Xiao Lin nervously asked, Are you injured? In the blink of an eye, Yuxian grabbed Yi Lan, holding a cold blade right to her neck. She threatened, Hand over the flash drive, and I'll let you go. Otherwise, I'll end her immediately. But guys, Yi Lan didn't even flinch. She called out, Xiao Lin, this is your best chance to turn the tables. Take the flash drive and go report to the authorities. Shut up. Yuxian snapped, pressing the blade closer until a small crimson drop appeared. Yi Lan gasped in pain. Seeing this, Xiao Lin couldn't hold back anymore. He tossed the device through the air with a clatter and shouted, That's enough. Here's the flash drive. Give me the hostage. Snatching it from the air, Yuxian ordered, Wait before releasing her. Keep an eye on her. I'll verify the authenticity of the flash drive first. She shoved Yi Lan toward the henchman. Look, I'm telling you guys, you can never trust an assassin, but if she is this beautiful, then matter is different. Yi Lan stared at Xiao Lin, her eyes welling with tears. She asked, her voice trembling, That's 180 billion. You didn't hesitate to give it to her. What? Xiao Lin just gave a warm, confident smile. Money can be earned back, he said gently, but you only have one life. Internally, I absolutely believe that the value of the working queen is far beyond 180 billion. Guys, I think he is saving his own life because of contract. After checking the drive, Yuxian nodded. Very well, it's right. Release her. With a firm push, she sent Yi Lan stumbling right into Xiao Lin's arms. Catching her, Xiao Lin asked with deep concern, Miss Yi, are you all right? Follow me. Yi Lan caught her breath and replied, I'm fine. Let's quickly leave this place of trouble. As they moved away, Yi Lan glanced at him, a soft blush on her cheeks. She thought to herself, It seems this time, I didn't choose the wrong person. Meanwhile, back inside, Yuxian held up the glowing flash drive. She announced, Black Star, I've completed the last mission that I promised to carry out for you. She handed it over, her tone resolute. According to the agreement, from today onwards, I can quit the organization and no longer be an assassin. Black Star smirked, taking the drive. Yes, you did a great job. But then, his expression darkened. He narrowed his eyes and asked, But why did you let them go earlier? Turning her back on him, Yuxian walked away with cold confidence. I keep my promises when I speak, she declared. As soon as she turned away, Black Star raised a silenced pistol, aiming it dead at her back. Well guys, I think he doesn't keep promises. With a sharp crack, the weapon fired a deadly flare. The sudden impact struck Yuxian in the shoulder, throwing her off balance as she cried out in pain. Clutching her wound, she glared back at him. You? How despicable, she yelled. Black Star just laughed. You think you can know so many secrets of the organization and still walk away unscathed? Dream on. Without a second thought, he fired again, roaring, meet your end. But Yuxian wasn't about to go down easy. With lightning speed, she drew her blade, deflecting the strike with a brilliant flash of steel. The sheer force of her counterattack forced Black Star to violently dodge backward to save himself. Realizing she was outnumbered, Yuxian made a desperate move. She leaped backward, crashing right through the thick glass window in a shower of shining shards. Furious, Black Star barked at his men. Chase after her, even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Find her and eliminate her. His henchmen immediately shouted, yes. In the next scene, the bright sun shined down over a grand, peaceful estate. Safe at last, Xiao Lin let out a long, heavy breath. He thought to himself, Yilon has taken over the company. I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Suddenly, his eyes widened in absolute shock. There, slumped on his couch, was Yuxian. She was heavily wounded, her clothes marked from the intense battle, and completely unconscious. What happens next will completely shock you guys. Xiao Lin walked into his apartment, only to freeze in his tracks when he saw a beautiful woman lying on his couch. He gasped in disbelief. Wow, where did this wild lady come from? And she's injured. He leaned over her, panicking. It seems like she's badly hurt. Should I take her to the hospital? He wondered out loud. But then reality hit him hard, and he sighed, but I don't have enough money on me for the registration fee. Suddenly, a holographic system screen popped up with a soft ping, offering a rejuvenation cream for 5 intimacy points. Xiao Lin gritted his teeth, thinking, I only have 7 days left to live, and after that, I have to rely on these 5 points to extend my life. He hesitated, his face twisted in deep conflict. But I can't just let such a beautiful woman die in front of me, he told himself. Finally, he made up his mind, concluding, forget it, it's better to save a person than to save alive a few more days. Holding his hand gently over her chest, he activated the system item. He whispered, hey, you can stay here as long as you want. With a bright digital flash, a glowing medical patch materialized right in his hand. Carefully, he placed the patch right over the terrible wound on her chest. With a soft shimmering sound, the glowing patch dissolved, completely absorbing into her skin. Instantly, her eyelashes fluttered, and with a soft gasp, she slowly opened her purple eyes. Xiao Lin leaned back, his face lighting up with absolute wonder. Incredible. No, it's more like magical. Not even a scar left, he marveled. I think our hero is enjoying the view. The woman abruptly pulled her shirt over herself, glaring at him with pure hostility as she snapped. Have you seen enough? Xiao Lin shocked asked. Are you awake? Sweating bullets. Xiao Lin waved his hands frantically and stuttered that he wasn't intentionally looking at her, but was just trying to save her. Her icy gaze pierced right through him. Don't you recognize who I am? She asked coldly. Look, I'm telling you guys, our boy is a complete idiot. He tilted his head, genuinely confused, and asked, have we met before? Meanwhile, the woman suddenly realized the truth, thinking to herself, oh, my mask fell off. Glancing around the grand room, she demanded, where is this? Xiao Lin crossed his arms, replying, it's my home. By the way, how'd you end up at my place and get so badly injured? Ignoring his question entirely, she reached out and, with a sharp tear, ripped a paper seal right off the doorway. Turning back to him, she announced with absolute authority, from now on, I'll be living here. Xiao Lin lost his mind, pointing at her angrily as he shouted, I helped you out of goodwill, and this is how you react? Isn't this illegal trespassing? With a heavy thud, she smashed a massive stack of cash right into his face, barking, rent. Trust me guys, pride disappears faster when you are broke. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Lin was bowing with a bright, greedy smile, cheering, hey, you can stay here as long as you want. Even his own thoughts mocked him, noting how pitiful it was for the prestigious young master of the Xiao Lin family to stoop down for a few grains of rice. Hugging the thick stack of bills to his chest, he beamed with sheer joy. But it's really delicious, he whispered. Later, lounging on his luxurious red sofa and munching on an apple, Xiao Lin plotted his next move. With the rent settled, I don't have to worry about food anymore, he noted, adding, the urgent matter is finding a way to extend my lifespan. There are 2 main ways. One is through a contract with a goddess. He took another bite of his apple as the system projected a glowing blue screen. The other is exchanging intimacy points with a contracted goddess, he finished. The holographic display shifted to show the stunning profile of Yilon. I've already made a contract with Yilon, so I need to become closer to her to live longer, he decided. Feeling confident, he picked up his phone and called her with a bright smile. Missy, do you have some free time? I'd like to invite you for a cup of coffee. He asked smoothly. But before he could finish, she shouted in no time, and the line went dead with a harsh click. Xiao Lin looked completely devastated as the phone beeped endlessly. He cursed his rotten luck, shouting in sheer frustration. Desperate, he pulled up the system again, which displayed the fierce bodyguard Mei and the deadly assassin Yuxian. He sighed, I know Mei, but I have no idea where this Yuxian is. And she's an assassin, which is terrifying. Our boy is really an idiot. His eyes narrowed with determination as he locked onto the hologram. Mei, it's up to you, he declared. In the next scene, the camera pans across a towering, elegant brick building under the quiet night sky. Meanwhile, inside an office, pure chaos was unfolding. The arrogant Li Haoshuan delivered a brutal kick to one of his heavily bandaged henchmen. What are you all good for? He roared, adding, you didn't catch the person, and the item is lost. Are you all useless? Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the tension. Li Hao, calm down, a woman ordered, prompting Haoshuan to collapse angrily into a leather armchair. The stunning President Gong Monli entered the room, her elegant purple dress trailing gracefully. Don't let this group of rough people affect your mood, she purred. Haoshuan scowled at her, his voice dripping with frustration. Yilan has already applied for police protection, so it will be difficult for us to make a move. Can you blame me for being anxious? He complained. With a soft rustle of fabric, Gong Monli gracefully took a seat next to him. I know where you're looking at, guys. She placed a comforting hand near him, smiling deviously. Li Xiao, rest assured. It's our principle to solve problems for others after taking their money. I will handle everything for you, she promised. Intrigued, he asked, how will you handle it? Gong Monli's eyes gleamed with malice as she explained. Yilan has a close relationship with her personal bodyguard, and that bodyguard urgently needs money for her sister's treatment. We just need to target her. A wicked grin spread across Haoshuan's face as he whispered, clever move. The scene opens on a bright, bustling city street. Xiao Lin steps up to Mei, looking determined. With a sharp tone, Mei asked, what's the matter with you asking me to come out here? With a confident smile, Xiao Lin replied, Miss Mei, I'd like to invite you to be my contracted bodyguard, if you're interested. Without missing a beat, she agreed instantly. All right. Xiao Lin's eyes widened in sheer disbelief as he exclaimed, really? But guys, here's the twist. Leaning in, Mei made her real demand. Give me 1 million, and I can be your girlfriend, not just a bodyguard. Sweating nervously, Xiao Lin stuttered that he was bankrupt and didn't have the money right now. Desperate, he offered. How about when Yilan earns it, she compensates you tenfold? With a cold turn, Mei dismissed him completely. If you don't have money, then don't talk to me about feelings. I have things to attend to. Reaching out desperately, Xiao Lin pleaded. Miss Mei, it's not all about money. We should have noble ideals. He tries to stop her from the back. Xiao Lin froze, a look of sheer panic crossing his face. Suddenly, he found himself flying through the air, crashing hard into the nearby bushes. He groaned, not this again. Sitting up in defeat, he complained, oh no, I didn't get intimacy points from the contract, and it didn't succeed. Tough luck. 6 days later, the scene shifts to the Grand Qilin Manor. Inside, Xiao Lin was a nervous wreck, gripping a small box, his face drained of color as he panicked. It's hopeless. My life will end at midnight tonight. This box is nice. It suits me. Just then, Yilan gracefully walked into the room, admiring the decor. Your villa is really nice, she remarked. The paintings on the wall are all world famous. Slumped over in defeat, Xiao Lin sighed heavily. It's nice, but what's the use? Everything will be auctioned off in another 6 months. But suddenly, he realized who was speaking. Tears of absolute joy streamed down his face as he cried out, Yilan, my goddess, you finally showed up. Yilan confidently held up a black card. She explained, I've been settling the old debts of the Qiling Group these days. I managed to recover 800 million in investments and 200 million in bridge fees. She paused, her expression turning serious. It's a drop in the bucket. If I had a few billion, I could still turn things around. With a sudden rush of desperation, Xiao Lin's hands clamped tightly around hers. Miss Yilan, he urged softly, as you know, what I want isn't money. I just want to see you as soon as possible. Caught off guard, a faint blush spread across her cheeks as she murmured, isn't this a bit too fast? A system prompt flashed above them, rewarding him with 10 precious intimacy points. Got it, he cheered internally. I can live a few more days now. Meanwhile, Yilan shyly confessed, actually, I also kind of want to see you. But guys, nobody could have imagined this timing. At that exact moment, the deadly assassin Yuxian, acting as his tenant, casually walked down the stairs wearing a pink apron and holding a spatula. She called out brightly, Xiao Lin, it's time for dinner. Panic instantly struck Xiao Lin like lightning. He froze, thinking in absolute terror. Oh no, I forgot there's a beautiful female tenant at home. The atmosphere turned freezing cold in a split second. A system prompt cruelly deducted 10 intimacy points. Pulling her hand away with a sharp tug, Yilan glared at him and sarcastically praised. Your girlfriend is really beautiful. Confused and terrified, Xiao Lin let out a panicked gasp. Waving his hands frantically, he yelled, she's not my girlfriend. But Yilan was already turning her back on him, storming off. Xiao Lin cursed his luck, agonizing that he hadn't even had the chance to exchange his points yet. Suddenly, a message pinged on a phone, showing a photo of Mayan in a boxing ring. Staring at the screen, Yilan revealed, "I've been to this club before. This is Li Haoshuan's underground fighting club. Why did Mayan go there to fight?" Tears welled up in Yilan's eyes as the grim realization hit her. She must have gone there to earn money for her sister's medical expenses, she cried softly. But she's been having trouble with her sense of direction lately. If she steps into the ring, she'll face grave danger. Stepping up, Xiao Lin firmly suggested, "Then let's call the police. Or maybe I should go talk to Li Haoshuan." Shaking her head anxiously, Yilan countered, "No. Fighting in illegal matches is against the law. If we report it, she'll get arrested too." His expression hardening with resolve, Xiao Lin locked eyes with her. "I'll accompany you. Let's see what tricks he's up to. It wasn't easy for me to get you. I won't easily let you go." With that decided, the two of them walked purposefully out the towering double doors, ready to face whatever awaited them. Watching them leave from the shadows, Yuxian slowly untied her apron. She let out a weary sigh, muttering, "Sigh, it's impossible to be peaceful for a few days." In the next scene, the roar of a wild crowd echoed through the vast club. Under the blazing arena lights, Man was already throwing down in a fierce boxing match against a towering, orange-haired fighter. With a sharp hiss of movement, Man launched a massive high kick that cut through the air. The crowd went wild, screaming about her death-defying move. But she missed completely, her legs swiping past him. Her opponent scoffed at her miscalculation, taunting aggressively. "You messed up again?" Before she could recover, he delivered a devastating, thunderous blow. Man collapsed onto the mat, groaning in pain, while he mocked her, asking if she was some kind of blind monk. "Come on, guys, fighting with a bad sense of direction is just asking for a beatdown." Friends, the situation in the arena was looking incredibly grim. With a heavy thud, Man collapsed in the center of the ring. From the sidelines, Xiao Lin and Yilan screamed her name in panic. Without a second thought, Xiao Lin rushed to the ropes. He practically begged her, shouting, "Mayan, please agree to be my bodyguard." Surprised by his sudden appearance, Mayan weakly looked up, questioning why he was even there. She coughed, struggling to stay conscious. "I'm almost getting beaten to pieces," she breathed heavily. "And you want me to be a bodyguard? Don't you think I'm useless?" But guys, here's the interesting part. Xiao Lin grabbed her arm in absolute desperation, slamming a contract onto the mat. He urged her to seize the opportunity since she was almost out of time. "Once the contract is signed, I'll help you win this match," he promised. Mayan slapped her hand onto the paper, and instantly, a glowing holographic screen confirmed the pact. Still doubting his abilities, she asked how exactly he planned to help her out of this mess. Xiao Lin confidently pulled out a mysterious, glowing card. "Don't worry, this hermit has a brilliant plan. It's done," he declared, slapping the card directly onto her forehead with a bright flash. Suddenly, a blinding, golden light engulfed Mayan's head as a mysterious new power surged through her veins. Just then, her massive opponent threw a devastating punch, but with a swift, sliding motion, Mayan easily dodged it. The fighter stared in absolute shock, unable to believe she evaded his attack. Her eyes snapped wide open, now incredibly sharp and completely focused. The system's power had clearly taken its effect. With incredible speed, she spun around and delivered a brutal high kick right to his jaw. The crowd erupted as someone yelled that the blind monk had actually landed a hit. And just like that, the giant crashed to the mat with a thunderous thud. It was a flawless knockout. Man looked at her hands, totally amazed by her own strength. "I can accurately discern the directions now," she cheered enthusiastically, realizing she was completely healed. She leaped into Xiao Lin's arms, praising him for helping her survive the deadly trial. Meanwhile, a system prompt notified Xiao Lin of his increased intimacy points. "Look, I'm telling you guys, this guy is playing a dangerous game. He wants the CEO and bodyguard both." Yilan cheered wildly, revealing she had bet 10 billion on Mayan at 80 times the odds. Even Xiao Lin was stunned by the sheer extravagance of the gamble. He flashed a confident smirk and gave a thumbs up, clearly enjoying the wild turn of events and the immense power currently shifting in their favor. Stepping back into the center of the ring, Mayan boldly declared her new loyalty. "I'm now Xiao Lin's bodyguard," she announced to the crowd, vowing to win and help the Qilin group rise from the ashes. But the fight wasn't over yet. The defeated fighter desperately grabbed the ropes. The announcer declared that, according to the rules, he was allowed to call for backup. And stepping up to the ring was an absolute mountain of a man. Mayan didn't back down for a second. She pointed straight at the giant, challenging him to a one-on-one fight if he dared. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena, introducing the ultimate fighter, undefeated in 98 matches, Bomber. As he towered over her, Mayan visibly gulped, whispering a terrified, "Oh my goodness, guys, I'm 100% sure she just ruined those trousers." The crowd instantly turned on her. Faceless spectators laughed cruelly, mocking that she was as good as gone. The Yilan began to panic, realizing she might lose her entire fortune. Watching from the sidelines, Xiao Lin's expression darkened. "It doesn't matter," he declared firmly, preparing himself to step in if things went completely south. Man launched herself forward fearlessly. "What does height matter?" she shouted. "It's about whether you're tough enough." She drove her fist directly into Bomber's chest with a heavy, echoing strike. But guys, nobody could have imagined this. The impact did absolutely nothing to him. Instead, Man cried out in sheer agony as her own wrist took the devastating force of the blow. Before she could even recover, Bomber's massive hand lunged forward, gripping her throat with terrifying speed. With a cruel sneer, he slammed her forcefully into the canvas. "Little girl, you think too highly of yourself," he mocked, enjoying the overwhelming advantage. He then mercilessly dragged her across the arena floor. "The ground is dirty. Use yourself to clean it," he laughed out loud, rubbing her into the ground repeatedly. Lying battered and helpless, tears streamed down Man's face. She whispered a heartbreaking apology to her little sister, absolutely devastated that she couldn't afford the medical expenses anymore. Up on the balcony, Li Haoshuan laughed with pure arrogance. He pointed down at Xiao Lin, gloating about the consequences of offending him, and proudly claimed the 10 billion bet as his own. Xiao Lin glared back, completely unfazed by the insult. "Why are you acting so arrogant?" he shouted, fully aware that the system and destiny were on his side. He swore he wouldn't let her lose. As Bomber moved in to finish her off, Xiao Lin screamed desperately from outside the ring, and catch the rope net. Hearing his voice cut through the chaos, Main gritted her teeth. Her eyes snapped open, burning with a sudden, fierce determination. With a sharp hiss, she slammed her bare foot onto the floor, instantly halting her sliding momentum. She launched a blistering counterkick that sliced through the air, forcing the giant Bomber to quickly leap back to evade the strike. The terrifying Bomber leaped high into the air, a fierce aura of flames trailing behind him. From the crowd, a spectator gasped. "Oh my, it's the signature move of the Bomber, the aerial bomb." Down on the mat, a helpless Man could only watch in absolute terror, bracing herself for the devastating impact. Suddenly, a thunderous explosion rocked the entire arena, sending a blinding wave of fire and shockwaves in every direction. As the thick smoke began to swirl, the massive fighter landed heavily on his feet, ready to claim his brutal victory. But guys, nobody could have imagined this. The Bomber suddenly whipped his head around, his eyes wide in absolute shock. Because right there, effortlessly carrying Man to safety, was Xiao Lin. He smirked confidently and declared, "She grabbed the rope. Now it's my turn to enter the scene. Well, at least this guy knows how to make an entrance." He gently handed the injured bodyguard over to the Yulon, softly reassuring her, "Be careful. Don't worry, I'm willing to risk my life to earn back the startup capital for you." Without wasting a single second, the Bomber charged forward, closing the distance with terrifying speed and heavy footsteps. He threw a massive, sweeping punch, but Xiao Lin simply vanished into a blur. The Bomber shouted in disbelief, "You actually dodged it." Ducking swiftly under the giant's arm, Xiao Lin shot back. "Not only can I evade, but I can also strike back at you." He landed a solid strike squarely on the giant's back, but it just bounced off. Xiao Lin gritted his teeth, thinking to himself, "Is this still a human?" The muscles are as hard as steel, as if punching a steel plate. Enraged, the Bomber unleashed a blinding flurry of fiery strikes. Xiao Lin gracefully wove through the flames as he analyzed the situation, thinking, "Wow, this person's speed is too fast. Exhaustion can wear out the Bomber." Frustrated by hitting nothing but air, the giant aggressively stomped the ground and roared, "Ah, don't run away, take my punch." Suddenly, a harsh gong rang out, bringing the chaotic action to an immediate halt. From the upper balcony, the scheming Li Haoshuan grabbed a microphone, angrily shouting, "No running allowed, you must face him head on. Otherwise, it's an automatic loss." Man clutched her cast and furiously yelled back, "Li Haoshuan, this rule doesn't exist in the book, you're cheating." Beside her, Yulon panicked, realizing, this is trouble. Xiao Lin is only fast, he doesn't know how to fight at all. Leaning over the railing, Li Haoshuan arrogantly mocked them. "This is my territory, I set the rules here. I can change the rules as I please. If you don't agree, fight me." Yulon could only glare at him and curse his audacity. Honestly guys, someone needs to teach this rich kid a lesson. Xiao Lin just wiped a drop of sweat from his brow, smiled calmly, and called out, "It's okay. Let's play by his rules." Both women stared at him in sheer disbelief. Man stuttered out, while Yulon desperately screamed, "Watch out." High above, the Bomber had already launched himself into the air for his ultimate finishing move. Someone in the crowd cried out, "It's an aerial bomb. If he can't dodge it, he's as good as dead." But instead of moving, Xiao Lin stood his ground, revealing a glowing blue digital card. He roared with absolute conviction, "Divine Fist." Instantly, a blazing golden aura erupted around him, his eyes burning with intense, unstoppable determination. With a soaring pillar of golden energy, Xiao Lin unleashed a devastating uppercut that connected perfectly with the giant's chin. The impact left a devastating mark, sending the massive Bomber crashing upside down onto the ring floor with a tremendous thud. The terrifying giant was completely knocked out cold. His eyes rolled back as a little blue soul floated away from his mouth. Up on the balcony, Li Haoshuan froze in absolute disbelief. Sweat pouring down his terrified face, Li Haoshuan completely lost his composure, stuttering out. He was sent flying by a single punch. Afterwards, Yilan happily waved a glittering gold card, cheering. Xiao Lin, I've earned the first bucket of gold for Qiling Group's rise from the ashes. 80 billion. While Man rushed over and excitedly grabbed Xiao Lin's arm, exclaiming with joy, Xiao Lin, you're so strong. And to his utter shock, she planted a sweet kiss right on his cheek, leaving our hero totally speechless, blushing from ear to ear. When ending friends, Xiao Lin and Mei were laughing together, practically buzzing with energy, while Yilan stood awkwardly between them looking completely bewildered by their sudden excitement. In a smooth motion, a shimmering gold card dropped through the air with a soft sliding sound, landing perfectly into an outstretched hand. Xiao Lin catching the card over with a bright, confident smile. He said, Yilan, thank you. She politely nodded, her voice steady as she replied, You're welcome. I also want to thank you for your appreciation. Afterwards, the trio turned to leave the arena. Xiao Lin slung an arm around both the girls, but Yilan is looking depressed. Guys, our boy is playing with fire. Suddenly, a heavy foot stomped down right in front of them, completely blocking their path. A loud, hostile voice echoed across the gym. Stop right there. It was Li Haoshuan, glaring at them with absolute arrogance. He spat. Do you really think I would let you take away these 80 billion? Xiao Lin didn't even flinch. He just cracked his knuckles with a sharp pop and locked eyes with him. He asked coldly, Do you really think I don't have the ability to take this money? Li Haoshuan gestured widely to the massive crowd behind him. He taunted, Even if you can fight, so what? Can you fight against 28 professional boxers like them? Xiao Lin just smirked, a dangerous, glowing energy surging around his fist. He shot back. How would you know if you don't try? Without a moment's hesitation, Xiao Lin dashed forward. He unleashed a devastating flurry of explosive punches. With heavy thuds and a thunderous impact, he sent the muscular goons flying across the room like helpless ragdolls. The remaining boxers and Li Haoshuan watched in pure disbelief. Li Haoshuan yelled out, Impressive. It's impossible. He used to be a useless, rich second generation. How could he have such strong martial arts skills? Look, I'm telling you guys, never underestimate a protagonist who wants 2 girls at a time. Realizing his men were useless, Li Haoshuan started backing away in sheer panic. He stuttered that he couldn't explain losing 80 billion to his family, and demanded that Xiao Lin couldn't just walk away. Xiao Lin sighed heavily. Li Haoshuan, let's be reasonable. It's better for you to step aside and let us pass. Don't make me clear the way with force. His patience wearing thin, Xiao Lin stepped closer, growling, The money is rightfully mine, and I'll leave if I want to. Desperate and out of options, Li Haoshuan screamed out, Black Star, how long are you going to wait? Just then, Black Star emerged from the shadows along with his faceless goons. He aimed his gun directly at them, sneering, This time, I won't let you go. Seeing his backup arrive, Li Haoshuan instantly turned and sprinted away like a total coward. Xiao Lin spun around, his eyes widening as he realized they were trapped in the crosshairs. Cold sweat dripped down Xiao Lin's face as he thought to himself, Oh no, there's no way to dodge this now. Behind him, Mei and Yilan froze in absolute terror. But before a single bullet could hit our heroes, a deafening crack echoed through the gym. Black Star screamed in agony as a powerful impact struck his arm, sending a crimson mist filling the air. Mei gasped, Black Star got shot. Someone is helping us. Meanwhile, hidden high above, the mysterious sniper Yu Xian peered through her scope with a confident smirk. She whispered to herself, You brat, consider it a repayment for saving my life. Xiao Lin quickly glanced towards the upper balconies, utterly confused. He thought, No one there. What happens next will completely shock you guys. Realizing the assassins were distracted, Xiao Lin and Mei fiercely charged right into the line of fire. Xiao Lin shouted, Quick, this is a perfect opportunity to counterattack. Mei launched herself into the air, delivering a brutal, high-speed kick straight to a goon's face with a satisfying, heavy smack. In the chaos, Xiao Lin slipped behind another distracted henchman. He tightly clamped a hand over the man's mouth and effortlessly disarmed him, whispering, Let me borrow your gun. With terrifying precision, Xiao Lin fired a rapid barrage of shots. Flash after flash, he methodically took down the remaining goons, completely turning the tables. Mei stared at him, absolutely speechless. She asked, You can use a gun too? Xiao Lin gave a breezy laugh, casually twirling the weapon. He replied, Come on, in my younger days, I was a rich young master. I've tried everything. After sweeping the floor with the henchman, Xiao Lin stomped his foot down heavily onto a severely wounded Black Star. The defeated assassin pleaded, Spare me, Xiao Lin. Xiao Lin pointed the barrel straight down, his voice laced with venom. He asked, You scum, you've attacked us multiple times. How could I spare you today? Panicking, Black Star yelled out, I have a secret that I can tell you in return for my life. The atmosphere instantly grew thick with unbearable tension. Xiao Lin glared down, commanding, Tell me. Black Star desperately pointed his finger right at the retreating Li Haoshuan. he screamed. The one who ended your father is none other than Li Haoshuan's father, Li Xinghe. The evidence is on the USB drive. Li Haoshuan froze in his tracks, his face entirely draining of color. He looked back with pure horror and shouted, "The audacity! You're directly betraying me!" His eyes blazing with an intense, fiery light, Xiao Lin's patience finally snapped. He roared, "Li Haoshuan!" Suddenly, he launched himself forward like a raging meteor. "You arrogant insult!" Xiao Lin shouted, striking Li Haoshuan with a devastating blow that sent him flying through the air with a thunderous crash. With a heavy thud, Li Haoshuan slammed right through the door and into a concrete wall, sending debris scattering everywhere. The once arrogant young master slumped helplessly against the broken glass, completely overpowered. Guys, he didn't even stand a chance. Without giving him a second to breathe, Xiao Lin aggressively grabbed him by the collar. "The vengeance for my father's death is irreconcilable." Xiao Lin snarled. Trembling with fear, Li Haoshuan stuttered that he shouldn't do it. But Xiao Lin wasn't having any of it. He forcefully dragged the panicked Li Haoshuan away. "Let's go. Tell me everything you know." Meanwhile, back in the gym, a heavily injured Black Star clutched his chest. He gasped out, "Li Haoshuan, don't blame me for betraying you. I'm just following orders." But guys, this is where the story gets interesting. Just then, the cold, dark barrel of the gun was pointed straight at his face. It was Yu Xian, holding a massive shotgun. She glared down at him. "Black Star, you betrayed your comrades once again," she said coldly. Black Star's eyes widened as he yelled, "It's you." With a blinding flash and a deafening blast, she ended the threat immediately. Standing victoriously over the defeated henchman, Yu Xian delivered a chilling warning. "I want to use your body to convey a message to Gong Manli. Tell her not to trouble Xiao Lin anymore, and not to look for me. Otherwise, this will be the consequence." In the next scene, we see a completely broken Li Haoshuan outside a beautiful temple gate. His shirt torn and tears streaming down his face, he pleaded, "Please, don't do anything to me. I've really told you everything I know." Unfazed, Xiao Lin pulled out his phone and started snapping pictures of the pathetic young master. "Yes, that's the pose. Keep it up, very good," he mocked. With a soft chime, the humiliating photo was sent right to its target. Holding the phone to his ear, Xiao Lin declared, "Li Xinghe, did you see the photo? Li Haoshuan has revealed the entire truth to me. You must pay the price for this." On the other end of the line, sitting defeated in his lavish office, Li Xinghe sighed heavily. "As long as you don't harm my son, I can fulfill all your demands." Xiao Lin laid out his terms. "I want you to hold a press conference tomorrow, expose your crimes, and tell everyone the truth." Knowing he had no other choice, Li Xinghe agreed. "Okay." Immediately, Li Xinghe instructed his subordinate, "Notify the media, hold a press conference tomorrow." The man quickly obeyed. Xiao Lin had locked Li Haoshuan inside a dark cell. "Just stay inside," Xiao Lin told him. "When your father turns himself in tomorrow, I'll naturally let you out." Desperate, Li Haoshuan cried out for him not to do it. As Xiao Lin casually walked up the stairs, Li Haoshuan screamed from the cell, "Damn it, I'm scared of the dark. I can't be alone." Afterwards, back at home, Xiao Lin was greeted by Yu Xian, who was strangely dressed in a maid outfit. Holding a tray, she smiled warmly. "Landlord, I made some bone soup. Do you want some?" "Well, I know what you're looking at, guys." Completely unaware, Xiao Lin happily drank the soup. "Well, thank you," he said, enjoying the meal. But then, he noticed something missing. "Xian, where's the ceramic jar that was supposed to be here?" "It contained my..." he asked. Innocent as ever, Yu Xian replied. "Oh, I know. It had broth ingredients inside, and I used it to make the bone soup you just drank." A look of absolute, pure horror washed over Xiao Lin's face as he choked himself, gasping, "You!" Falling to his knees in despair, he sobbed uncontrollably, bowing to the floor. "That was my father's ashes. Father, sorry, your son is unfilial. Trust me, guys, she got him good." Bursting into laughter, Yu Xian quickly confessed, "Just kidding. I've placed it in the adjacent Buddhist hall." Relieved but traumatized, Xiao Lin could only think to himself, what a wicked woman. In a dim, solemn room where Xiao Lin was kneeling before his father's memorial tablet, he prayed, "Dad, I know that Li Xinghe, that old fox, won't go down without a fight. I'm prepared for a fight to the end with him. Please bless me with a victory." Suddenly, with a firm thud, he reached out and forcefully opened a wooden box sitting next to the shrine. Drawing a gleaming blade, Xiao Lin declared, "Dad, let me borrow this family heirloom first." The next day, we see Xiao Lin slipping a mysterious device into his dark coat pocket, preparing for what was to come. Just then, as he reached the front door, his maid Yu Xian called out, "Are you going out?" "Wait a moment." Xiao Lin paused, asking, "What's wrong?" Yu Xian walked up with a soft smile and began adjusting his collar. "Your clothes are all wrinkled. Let me straighten them for you," she said warmly. Xiao Lin's face turned serious as he warned her, "Xian, if I don't come back today, you'll have to move out in 6 months. Be prepared in advance." But guys, she just cheerfully waved it off, saying, "All right, I'll wait for you to come back for dinner. Well, I think our boy got one more girl." Meanwhile, at a massive news conference, Li Xinghe stood confidently behind a podium, facing a crowd of reporters. he announced loudly. Today, I'm holding this press conference to announce something very important. In the shadows of the hall, Xiao Lin stood next to Man. She whispered excitedly, I've already reported it to the police. As soon as Li Xinghe publicly reveals the truth, the police will immediately arrest him, and Xiao Group will be able to start anew. Xiao Lin muttered, I hope so. Back at the podium, Li Xinghe shouted into the microphone, and that is, pointing a menacing finger directly at Xiao Lin. He declared, he kidnapped my son, Li Haoshuan. Xiao Lin confidently stepped out of the shadows, thinking, just as I suspected. Suddenly, the sharp and commanding police officer Luo Yanin marched up to Xiao Lin. She stated, Xiao Lin, we listened to the recording of your conversation with Mr. Li yesterday, and we suspect that you have a significant connection to the disappearance of Li Haoshuan. Please come with us for questioning. At this time, Li Xinghe leaned over the desk with an arrogant grin. He sneered, I might as well tell you, I've already sent someone to rescue Haoshuan. My son should be free by now. None of you are my match, and you think you can shake me, you little thing. Xiao Lin lowered his head, his hand reaching deep into his pocket. He stated coldly, since the moment I lost everything, I never thought of escaping unscathed. I, a man standing at 7 feet tall, if I can't avenge my father, what's the point of being alive? Sensing danger, Officer Luo pulled her weapon and ordered, Xiao Lin, immediately take your hands out, put your hands on your head, and crouch on the ground, or else I'll shoot. Pulling out a sleek black device, Xiao Lin's eyes glowed with intense determination. He declared, the moment of reckoning has come. With a dramatic flash, he yelled out the knife. But wait, instead of a knife, it is USB. A confused Xiao Lin stared at his hand, muttering, what's this? Dear. Next to him, Yilan pointed and yelled, it's my USB drive. In the next scene, a laptop screen illuminated the hall, playing a shocking video. It showed Li Xinghe violently choking Xiao Lin's father. Xiao Lin quickly turned to the police officer. Officer Luo, now you know who the threat is, right? Li Xinghe was tense, people started talk. Oh my god, it never expected it all. Qilin's chairman, Xiao Qi, was killed by Li Xinghe himself. But guys, the real twist hasn't even started yet. Xiao Lin's expression darkened as he thought. Li Xinghe is powerful, with vast resources and extensive connections. Even if he's arrested, it'll be difficult to sentence him to the end. We can't let him go easily. Suddenly, Xiao Lin sprinted furiously toward the stage. He roared, Li Xinghe, you absolute arrogance. I'll avenge my father. Xiao Lin stumbled, crashing into him with a heavy thud. As they struggled, Xiao Lin handed a gun to Li Xinghe and thought to himself, luckily, I found a gun at the boxing gym, even though it's out of bullets. Officer Luo's eyes widened in sheer panic at the sight of the weapon. Grabbing the empty gun, Li Xinghe pointed it defensively. Xiao Lin screamed, don't end me. Please don't end me. While Li Xinghe thought, what the heck? Where did the gun come from? Afterwards, Officer Luo and her squad aimed their weapons directly at the businessman. She commanded, Li Xinghe, drop your gun, otherwise I'll shoot. He stuttered in sheer terror, trying to say no, but it was too late. A thunderous explosion echoed through the room. A devastating impact struck Li Xinghe right in the chest. Multiple flashes lit up the room as the officers unloaded their weapons, sending Li Xinghe stumbling backwards. Lowering her gun, a furious Officer Luo screamed, I didn't order to shoot. Who fired first? The two trigger-happy cops behind her sweated nervously, pleading, it wasn't me. Don't look at me. Come on, guys, someone definitely panicked there. Finally, Xiao Lin stood tall over his fallen enemy. But chillingly, Li Xinghe simply let out a dark, sinister laugh. Li Xinghe defeated on the ground, a dark crimson stain spreading beneath him. He looked up with a malicious grin and taunted, Xiao Lin, do you really think I am the only one dealing with your Xiao family? You cannot defeat them. You are doomed to face the ultimate end. Leaving the fallen man behind, Xiao Lin turned to Mayan. She looked concerned and asked, are you all right? Xiao Lin nodded calmly and replied, I am fine. Suddenly, Yilan analyzed the situation with a sharp tone. She explained, the first shot came from the opposite building. Someone wants to silence us. Xiao Lin's eyes widened in shock as he exclaimed, what? A heavy tension filled the air. Xiao Lin furrowed his brows, realizing the conspiracy ran much deeper. He muttered, it seems there is more to my father's tragic fate than meets the eye. Just then, the sharp click of heels echoed through the room. Police officer Luo Yanin stepped in with a commanding presence, calling out his name, Xiao Lin. She held her hand out firmly to stop him. She declared, the suspicion of you kidnapping Li Haoshuan has not been cleared. We're going to search your residence. Until then, you cannot leave my sight. Afterwards, the scene shifts to the grand exterior of the Qiling villa, standing quietly under the bright sun. Inside, the officers scoured the empty hallways. One of them reported, Captain Luo, nothing here. Another officer saluted and added, I do not have anything either. But guys, this is where the story gets interesting. Xiao Lin stepped forward, tapping the stone wall with a soft thud. He smirked and explained, most villas like this have secret rooms. You just need to find the mechanism. With a click, the wall shifted. He exclaimed, it was actually found. So guys, I think our hero is now caught. The heavy stone door creaked open, revealing a dark cell. The officers peeked inside and yelled, "Captain, we have found a hidden room. There's someone inside." Officer Luo swiftly clamped down handcuffs on Xiao Lin. She looked at him sternly and said, "Xiao Lin, I sympathize with your situation, but if you break the law, I will ensure you face the consequences." As they walked further inside, a soft voice echoed from the floor. A figure knelt in a maid outfit, asking, "Master, why did you just come back now?" "Close your eyes, kids." It was Yu playing the role of a helpless maid. She was entirely tied up in ropes, looking up with flushed cheeks as she complained, "I could not wait any longer." Now, honestly, anyone would panic here. Xiao Lin broke out in a cold sweat, stammering out a nervous hesitation. "Well," Officer Luo glared at him with absolute disgust and scolded, "You have been playing around too much, have you not?" Disgusted by the bizarre scene, Officer Luo turned on her heel and marched up the stairs, snapping, "We are done here." Xiao Lin reached out desperately, crying out, "No, it is not like that." Tears of absolute defeat streamed down his face as he sobbed. "Although I will not go to jail, I've already been sentenced to ruin. Society's absolute ruin." Yu leaned in closer and teased, "I helped you once again. How will you thank me?" Xiao Lin said, "I can offer you my body." She placed a hand on her hip and yelled, "You rascal! What naughty thoughts are you having?" Getting back to business, Xiao Lin asked, "Where is Li Haoshuan?" Yu followed him up the stairs and replied calmly, "I moved him to the attic. It is sealed, making it harder to search." Xiao Lin nodded, praising her clever move. But as they opened the attic door, a horrifying sight awaited them. Li Haoshuan lay motionless on the wooden floor, completely bound and resting in a massive crimson pool. The two stood frozen in absolute shock. Xiao Lin trembled and stammered, "Did you eliminate him?" Yu immediately knelt down, inspecting the dark fluid. She shook her head and clarified, "It was not me. The crimson fluid is still warm, so he must have been taken out just before we entered." Xiao Lin looked up at the ceiling, his mind racing. He observed the locked space and muttered, "But the door was locked. Is this a locked room mystery?" Without hesitation, Yu eyes narrowed. She flicked her wrist with lightning speed, throwing a sharp blade toward the ceiling and shouting, "The attacker is hidden there." Instantly, a blinding beam of blue energy blasted down from the air vent, missing Xiao Lin by mere inches. He jumped back, completely terrified. With a loud clank, a hand reached down and aggressively pushed the rusted vent grate completely open. In the next scene, Xiao Lin and Yu squeezed into the narrow, dusty air shaft. Xiao Lin struggled to move forward, grunting, "Does he have a shrinking technique? How could someone run through this narrow passage so quickly?" Yu pressed closely behind him, warning, "This locked room technique should be the work of the ace assassin. Wen Xiao, we are in serious trouble." The tension was skyrocketing. Yu yelled at him from behind, "Why are you just standing there? Chase after him while he is injured." Xiao Lin groaned in frustration and admitted he was completely stuck. Refusing to let their target escape, Yu pushed against him and demanded, "Let me do it." Xiao Lin's face turned beet red as he pleaded, "Stop struggling. I cannot hold on much longer. I don't know, guys, what he is holding back. Tell me in the comments." But the narrow space forced them tightly together. Yu found herself pressed directly against him, letting out a surprised gasp as her cheeks flushed bright red. Embarrassed and flustered, she swung her hand with a loud smack, slapping Xiao Lin directly across the face. She yelled, "You rascal." Xiao Lin winced in pain as she quickly apologized, I did not mean to, haha, well, I think you guys know what happened." Back at the mansion, Yu disguised as the maid, confidently approached Xiao Lin. With a swift, dusting motion, she calmly stated that she had taken care of the situation and he didn't need to worry about being discovered. But guys, Xiao Lin wasn't just going to let this go. He demanded to know who she really was, noting that she had already been shot before. Yu tossed a piece of evidence right into the roaring fireplace and snapped, "Don't ask." As the flames quickly consumed the evidence, turning it to ash, she added with a cold warning, "The less you know, the better for you." Suddenly, Xiao Lin's face flushed with anger. He stepped forward and shouted, "No, I must find out." He passionately explained that Li Xinghe was right next to him when he was struck down, and he wasn't afraid of being next. He was just terrified of not knowing who the enemy was even in death. Now, honestly, anyone would panic here. Seeing his desperation, Yu finally stopped and glanced back over her shoulder. She revealed the dark truth, stating that Li Xinghe was taken out by Yu Ji and Li Haoshuan was eliminated by Wen Qiao. She declared they both belonged to the exact same organization, the Haidong Society. The atmosphere in the room turned ice cold. She told him that the influence of the Haidong Society was completely beyond his imagination. Xiao Lin shot up from his chair like he had been struck by lightning, gasping the organization's name. He clutched his face, pure dread washing over him as the memories flooded back. He remembered his father mentioning it before, realizing that the Haidong Society had wanted to recruit him, but he refused. He agonizingly noted that little did they know that single refusal brought absolute disaster upon them. In the next scene, friends, We are taken to a top-secret location. Deep inside the Haidong Society Dragonhead Club, 5 powerful figures sat in a circle under a single dramatic spotlight. Yu Xiaoqiang, the calculating vice-chairman of Chong Group, adjusted his glasses. He looked across the table and smoothly asked Monli to explain the current situation. President Gong Monli smiled with a wicked satisfaction. She reported that the Li family father and son had all been eliminated, and the video evidence only showed Li Xinghe committing the crime. She confidently stated they could all rest easy now. But Gao Jianhe, the intense president of Gao Group, wasn't convinced. He narrowed his sharp eyes and muttered that Xiao Lin wasn't dead yet, making him a walking, ticking time bomb. Huang Yaozu, the chubby president of Haiqing's Chamber of Commerce, scoffed casually. He questioned what the problem was and suggested they just directly get rid of him. Suddenly, the room echoed with a loud bang as Su Mingyue slammed her hands heavily onto the desk and shouted, "No!" Su Mingyue, the hot president of Haiqing Bank, glared at the others. She pointed out that Xiao Lin still owed them so much money, and if they ended his life now, everything they had done would be in vain. She aggressively pleaded to spare his life so that they could maybe recover the remaining cash. Gao Jianhe fired back aggressively, noting that Xiao Lin Group owed Xinghe Group 180 billion, owed him 220 billion, and demanded to know what he owed the others. Yu Xiaoqiang coldly chimed in that Xiao Lin owed him a staggering 300 billion. Su Mingyue let out an exhausted sigh, closing her eyes as she admitted he owed her 100 billion. Trust me guys, the amount of money these people are throwing around is just pure audacity. Gao Jianhe smiled with pure malice. He argued that with so much debt, even if they sold Xiao Lin, they still wouldn't be able to repay it. He declared it was better to just get rid of him instead of wasting time. Otherwise, he would drag them down one by one, just like he did to Li Xinghe. Su Mingyue tried to argue, stuttering slightly as she cried out, but Yu Xiaoqiang raised his hand, cutting off the debate with a calm but deadly tone. Since they couldn't reach a unanimous decision, he suggested they go with the usual method and vote, asking them to raise their hands if they agreed to end him. Immediately, four pale hands shot up into the air. Someone announced from the shadows that the vote was passed. Yu Xiaoqiang turned his attention back to Gao. He mentioned that Monli had lost several people recently, and the police were closely monitoring her. So he coldly ordered Jianhe to let his subordinate, Jian Lin, handle Xiao Lin. A terrifying grin stretched across Gao Jianhe's face. He confidently accepted, ensuring the dark mission would be completed. Meanwhile, back on the streets, the rhythmic sound of a bicycle tire rolling across the pavement filled the air. A voice complained, asking when they would finally have a car to drive. Xiao Lin was actually riding on the back of a simple bicycle, clinging to his red-haired ally as she pedaled. She playfully scolded him, suggesting they buy a motorcycle if a car wasn't possible, since riding a bicycle didn't suit his identity as a company chairman. Xiao Lin added cheerfully that the verdict was out, so they didn't have to repay the 180 billion owed to Xinghe Group. Xiao Lin flashed a bright, optimistic smile, noting that the remaining 18.2 billion wasn't much, and once paid off, they could finally buy a car. As they rode through the sunny city streets, May mentioned that her sister was having surgery today, and she wanted to leave early to go to the hospital. Xiao Lin easily agreed to accompany her since he didn't have anything pressing to do. The warm, sunny scene suddenly cut to the harsh, glowing red light of a hospital surgery room sign. A haunting silence filled the room. A lifeless body lay perfectly still on a hospital gurney, covered entirely by a stark white sheet. Dr. Baiji stood nearby, her expression heavy with sorrow. She lowered her head and gently delivered the devastating news that resuscitation efforts were unsuccessful and the patient had been pronounced dead. Mayan collapsed onto the cold hospital floor, her heart completely shattered. The doctor softly offered her condolences, assuring her they did their absolute best. Tears streamed down the girl's face as she grabbed the edge of the sheet, screaming in agony. She sobbed uncontrollably, begging her little sister to wake up and asking what she was supposed to do all alone. Standing helplessly in the doorway, Xiao Lin watched his friend break down. The light completely faded from his eyes as he stood there in total, speechless shock, realizing the brutal tragedy that had just unfolded. Xiao Lin tightly closed his eyes, desperately calling out to the system. He pleaded, "System, is there any way to save her? I can't bear to see women suffer like this." With a soft chime, a glowing blue screen appeared, announcing he had successfully exchanged 60 intimacy points for the Grand Rejuvenation Pill. He now had 0 points left. Suddenly, his eyes widened in absolute horror. The system cruelly reminded him that being flirtatious came with a heavy price. He screamed in his mind, "System, how could you deceive me? I was just asking. I didn't mean to actually exchange anything." He stared at the tiny brown pill in his palm, the harsh reality sinking in. With 0 intimacy points, he now had less than a single day left to live. Now, honestly, anyone would panic here, guys. But Xiao Lin took a deep breath, clenching his jaw with newfound resolve. He thought, darn it, let's save her first, and then figure things out. Xiao Lin stepped confidently into the brightly lit operating room. He looked at the crying Mei-In and the baffled Dr. Baiji, saying in a steady voice, "Don't cry. I can save your sister. Dr. Bai Ji's eyes flared with professional indignation. She snapped back. Are you questioning my expertise? I have done everything I can to save her, but her heartbeat has stopped, and her brain waves have disappeared. She is definitely gone. Xiao Lin didn't even blink. He looked the doctor right in the eye and stated coldly, then, I will create a medical miracle for you. Suddenly, he brushed right past her, throwing off the white hospital sheet covering the patient. Bai Ji yelled, there are indeed medical miracles in this world, but there are no medical miracles that bring the dead back to life. Without missing a beat, Xiao Lin countered, that's because you haven't encountered me before. With swift, deliberate movements, he gently placed the small pill into the unmoving lips of Manhwa. The room fell completely silent. A few agonizing seconds passed. Xiao Lin scratched the back of his head, sweating nervously as he muttered, why is there no response? Infuriated by his apparent arrogance, Bai Ji stepped forward and yelled, how dare you mess around? Look, I'm telling you guys, trying to act cool and failing instantly is the most embarrassing thing ever. Desperate to save face, Xiao Lin smiled awkwardly and stuttered, pleading with her to wait just a little longer for the medicine to take effect. But Bai Ji wasn't having any of his nonsense. She grabbed his arm, demanding firmly, please leave immediately, or I will call security. But guys, watch this. Just then, the supposedly deceased, Manhwa, suddenly bolted upright in bed with a sharp gasp. Rubbing her eyes, she complained, so noisy. Everyone in the room froze, utterly stunned. OMG guys, this is pants-soiling moment. Afterwards, Dr. Bai Ji stared at him like he was a god descending from the heavens. She gasped, she actually really came back to life? Who are you exactly? How did you do it? Leaning into his newfound savior status, Xiao Lin smirked and smoothly replied, it's a unique skill, not to be shared with others. Completely captivated, the doctor could only whisper, impressive. However, reality quickly came crashing back down. Xiao Lin glanced at his watch, his heart pounding in his chest. He realized with a surge of dread that he had less than half an hour left before his own life would end. He slumped onto a bench in the hallway, holding his head in utter despair. He silently prayed, Man, when are you going to finish your sister's checkup and come over to add some intimacy points to me? At this time, the sharp clicking of heels echoed through the corridor. Dr. Bai Ji approached him, her voice trembling with disbelief. She reported that the patient in bed 19 not only had her lesions completely disappear, but all medical indicators had also returned to normal. She leaned in close, her eyes sparkling with intense curiosity. You have shattered my worldview, she exclaimed. What kind of pills did you give her? Can I please have one for research? Xiao Lin shot her a deadpan, thoroughly annoyed glare. He snapped back. Why on earth would I do that? Taken aback by his blunt rejection, Bai Ji visibly deflated. Sweating nervously, she mumbled, well. Undeterred, the doctor pressed on, offering to pay for the precious medicine. Xiao Lin leaned back, an eyebrow raised as he repeated the word money with a hint of intrigue. His expression darkened into a fierce glare. He thought bitterly to himself, if only money could buy it. I'm using my life to buy it. Noticing his silence, Bai Ji grew desperate, pleading for him to name his price and promising that everything could be negotiated. Just then, a glowing blue system notification popped up in his vision. New contract target detected. She quickly pulled out a pristine certificate and handed it to him. She explained that she founded a heavily patented pharmaceutical company in college, currently valued at $20 million. Looking him straight in the eyes, she confessed that while it might be far from enough, it was her entire wealth, and she desperately needed that pill. But guys, nobody could have anticipated this timing. A blaring red warning flashed across Xiao Lin's system interface. He only had 10 seconds of lifespan remaining. The screen also displayed Bai Ji's profile, revealing her as a divine physician, and signing her would grant him a precious 10-day lifespan bonus. His face instantly contorted into a manic, wildly desperate grin. He practically shouted, declaring that surrounded by mountains and rivers, a bright future was awaiting him. Without wasting a single precious second, he furiously began scribbling his name on the contract. The contract can be signed, he rushed out, but I have an additional condition. You have to continue as the chief doctor of this pharmaceutical company. Caught completely off guard by his sudden chaotic energy, Bai Ji simply blinked in confusion and agreed, handing over the paperwork. The massive red timer in his vision violently ticked down to 8 seconds. Sweating profusely, Xiao Lin shoved the pen toward her, frantically begging her to hurry up and sign the contract. Startled, she quickly stammered, oh, okay. The pen hit the paper. 3 seconds, 1 second, and then a brilliant light washed over his interface as his lifespan instantly jumped to 10 days. A wave of pure, absolute relief washed over Xiao Lin. He closed his eyes, smiling brightly as he cheered. I feel charged up, so good. In his overwhelming joy, he hadn't realized he was still tightly gripping her hand. Bai Ji violently yanked her hand back, shivering with visible goosebumps. She thought in utter disgust, wondering if he enjoyed touching her hand like a creep. Regaining her professional composure, she cleared her throat and asked, well, now that the contract is signed, can you give me the pill? Caught in a lie. Xiao Lin awkwardly scratched his head and laughed. He stuttered a flimsy excuse, claiming he hadn't fully investigated her company yet to decide if it was truly worth 20 million. Inwardly, he panicked, realizing he had 0 intimacy points left and couldn't actually afford the grand rejuvenation pill right now, forcing him to postpone it. Come on, guys, faking it until you make it is a dangerous game when miracle drugs are involved. In the final scene, Bai Ji confidently held out her business card, her figure imposing and authoritative. This is the company's address, she instructed firmly. Let's meet at the company tomorrow, and remember to bring the medicine. Relieved to have bought some time, Xiao Lin smiled brightly and agreed. Xiao Lin and Mayan were casually riding a bicycle down the street. Mayan looked back with a warm smile. She gently said, "Thank you for saving my sister. Boss, you're a good person." Xiao Lin pedaled steadily and muttered, "Unfortunately, good people don't live long." Hearing this, Mayan's eyes went wide in sudden shock. Suddenly, their path was blocked. A fierce gang of armed thugs stepped out from the shadows. The leader, a brute with a mohawk, pointed his finger and shouted, "It's them." Mayan instantly shifted into her combat stance, ready to protect him. She confidently declared, "Boss, I'll go first. If I can't handle them, then you can go." Look, guys, you would expect the boss to back her up here, right? Instead, Xiao Lin bolted in the opposite direction. He frantically yelled, "What the heck, run? Didn't you see how many knives they have? Even if we can beat them, we'll end up getting injured. Why bother?" Realizing his logic, Mayan quickly followed, admitting, "Huh? Oh, I see. Boss, you're clever." Afterwards, as they sprinted down the dark street side by side, Mayan asked, "If Li Haoshuan is already gone, why are they still chasing after us?" Xiao Lin gritted his teeth and replied, "They must be sent by the Haidong Society." The thugs were relentless, quickly closing the distance. Mayan panted, "This can't go on. We need to find a way to shake them off." Just then, they reached a towering building covered in metal construction scaffolding. Xiao Lin pointed up and instructed, "I've got an idea. Quick, you go up first." Mayan didn't hesitate, using Xiao Lin's shoulders to hoist herself onto the metal frame. Looking down, she asked, "What about you?" Xiao Lin braced himself and replied, "I'll go up later." At this time, the thugs arrived at the base. They immediately began scaling the pipes like a swarm of angry ants. One yelled, "They're up there. Get after them," while another questioned, "Where did the guy go?" But friends, what happens next will completely shock you. Down below, hidden from their sight, Xiao Lin gripped a heavy metal pipe. A mischievous, sinister grin spread across his face as he chuckled. Hee hee. With full force, he swung the pipe directly at the scaffolding's main support. He aggressively shouted, "Break it to me." The metal clanged violently upon impact. In the next scene, the entire structure groaned and completely collapsed with a thunderous crash. A massive cloud of dust filled the air as the thugs plummeted to the ground. But wait, since May was also on that scaffolding, she was sent free falling through the air. Flailing her arms, she angrily screamed, "Xiao Lin, you absolute coward." Xiao Lin quickly slid into a dramatic, wide martial arts stance. He stretched out his arms and confidently called out, "And don't be afraid. I'm going to use my ultimate move now." With a soft sliding sound and a heavy thud, Xiao Lin successfully caught the falling girl right in his arms, absorbing the massive impact perfectly. Mayan's anger instantly vanished, replaced by pure awe. She cheered, "You actually caught me. That's amazing." However, Xiao Lin's face was completely drained of color as he strained under her weight, weakly muttering, "You should lose some weight." "Trust me, guys, you never tell a girl that." Mayan's smile turned dangerous as she pinched his cheek with intense force. She laughed menacingly. "What did you say?" Xiao Lin cried out in sheer panic. "Ah, I'm sorry. I am sorry." After this, as Xiao Lin carried her away from the unconscious thugs scattered on the ground, a familiar notification chimed in his mind, awarding him intimacy points. He calmly thought to himself, it's probably the gratitude for saving her sister as well. Meanwhile, a sleek, luxurious black car silently cruised down the nearby street, hiding a much larger threat. Inside the dimly lit car, Gao Jianhe slammed his fist onto the armrest with a sharp thud. He hissed in pure frustration, "Ugh, a bunch of fools. So many people can't handle one Xiao Lin." Beside him, Su Mingyue sat quietly with her arms crossed. Su Mingyue's golden eyes narrowed slightly as she coldly stated, "It seems Xiao Lin's story isn't meant to end yet. Let's give him some more time. When we can get money out of him, why end things permanently?" Gao Jianhe turned to her, his voice rising in anger. He argued, "Su Mingyue, you also have a part in dealing with Qilin Group. If we allow Xiao Lin to rise, neither of us will have a good ending." Su Mingyue silently clenched her leather bag, her knuckles turning white. She firmly replied, "I know what I've done. No need for your reminders." Gao Jianhe sneered, gently resting a finger against his chin. He thought with pure arrogance, "Xiao Lin, consider yourself lucky this time, but I won't let you rise again. Enjoy the last moments of your freedom." Beside him, Su Mingyue looked down, an expression of silent dread washing over her face. In the next scene, the bright morning sun shined over the pristine white building of the Fufu Medical Beauty Clinic. Inside the sleek, modern hallway, Dr. Bai Ji was giving Xiao Lin a personal tour. She gestured gracefully and explained, the left side is the research and development department, and the right side is the sales department. Although the scale is a bit small, the profits are considerable. She proudly presented a glowing pink bottle, beaming with confidence. This is the new whitening product I'm currently developing, called Snow Vision. I've developed it based on ancient family formulas. I believe that once it's officially launched, it will bring you billions in profits. Xiao Lin leaned in, inspecting the product with wide eyes. He asked, is it really that miraculous? Bai Ji crossed her arms and answered honestly. According to the records of the ancient formulas, Snow Vision does have remarkable effects, but suddenly, a heavy metal bat smashed through the glass window with a thunderous shatter. He Fei barged in, flanked by an entire gang of armed thugs. Pointing her bat aggressively at the doctor, she shouted, Bai, you've caused me a lot of trouble. I'm going to shut down your shady business. Dr. Bai Ji in panic stammered. Miss He, what happened? He Fei said, how dare you openly harm me? The figure was He Fei, but her face, it was completely ruined. She furiously yelled, I just used your Snow Vision today, and my face turned into this. Not only is my face ruined, it even stinks. Bai Ji gasped in shock, realizing her product had actually failed. Oh my god, something actually went wrong, she cried out. But it doesn't stink, does it? I don't smell anything. Hearing this, He Fei's eyes widened with pure rage as she roared. You dare to mock me? With a heavy swoosh, He Fei swung her massive wooden bat straight down at the terrified doctor, screaming, You're asking for death. But just then, Xiao Lin stepped in, catching the deadly swing barehanded. He calmly asked, Hey, can we talk this out? While Bai Ji called out his name in relief. Bai Ji, holding back tears, turned to him and said, Thank you for helping, but I don't want to involve you. She guiltily admitted her responsibility for the unstable product, refusing his medicine and begging him to leave before things got worse. Xiao Lin, however, stood his ground. He glanced at the surrounding goons and warned her, If I leave like this, they will devour you. Pointing her bat threateningly, He Fei snapped, I don't eat people, but I will destroy her face too. Xiao Lin kept his cool. He looked He Fei dead in the eye and proposed an ethical solution, claiming he could fix her ruined face. Scoffing, she questioned why she should listen to him. Xiao Lin boldly replied, Because you can trade 3 hours of your time for a perfectly intact face. He Fei narrowed her eyes, completely silent as she weighed his bold claim. Lowering her bat, she scoffed, 3 hours is too long. I'll give you only half an hour. When time is up, not only will I destroy this place, I'll also make sure both of you are carried out on stretchers, she threatened with a chilling glare. Look, I'm telling you guys, you do not want to mess with a gang leader whose face is ruined. Turning back to the doctor, Xiao Lin sighed. Now you can't leave even if you want to. Then stabilize the unstable product. Bai Ji slumped over the counter in defeat, admitting she deserved this mess for letting people test an unfinished formula. She hopelessly explained that she couldn't precisely control the formula's balance. The worst part? Because she had tested so many drugs, she had almost completely lost her sense of smell. Xiao Lin suddenly realized something. No wonder you didn't smell the rotting odor on He Fei's face earlier, he remarked. He then asked if she wanted to restore and even enhance her sense of smell. When she eagerly agreed, Xiao Lin simply smiled and said, All right then. Suddenly, Xiao Lin summoned a mysterious glowing holographic interface. He declared he had a secret method to elevate her smell to the level of a bear, which was over 2,000 times stronger than a human's. With a soft hum of energy, the glowing red interface seamlessly merged directly into Bai Ji's forehead. She took a slow, deep breath in. Her eyes sparkled with sheer amazement. Oh my god, my nose has recovered, and I can distinguish smells again, she gasped, completely overwhelmed by the miracle. It's so amazing. Wasting no time, Xiao Lin urged, Hurry up and prepare the correct formula. We don't have much time left. Energized, she immediately agreed. But wait, as she stood close to him, she suddenly caught a whiff of something else. Blushing deeply, she thought, Is this the scent of a man? I didn't expect him to smell so good. Noticing her getting slightly distracted, Xiao Lin awkwardly asked, Miss Bai, can we begin now? Snapping back to reality, she quickly nodded and got to work. Meanwhile, Xiao Lin couldn't help but smirk to himself. He realized that just making a contract with her increased his lifespan by 10 whole days. He confidently thought she'd be a perfect choice for gathering more intimacy points. Back at the lab station, Bai Ji was in her element. With her newly enhanced senses, mixing the complex fluids felt effortless. She realized that problems that were previously impossible now felt as simple as basic addition and subtraction. Time flew by, and a 30-minute deadline arrived. He Fei stepped up, her patience completely exhausted. Time's up, she growled. Have you figured out how you want to die? Stepping forward bravely, Bai Ji handed her a glowing blue concoction. Miss He, please trust me. I won't make any more mistakes this time, she promised, vowing to accept any consequences if she failed. Without a single moment of hesitation, He Fei snatched the glass and ruthlessly splashed the icy blue liquid directly onto her own ruined face. Surprised by her boldness, Xiao Lin asked if she wasn't afraid of things getting worse. Smirking confidently, He Fei replied, "My face is already in such a state. What more do I have to lose?" She then shot him a deadly glance, adding that if it failed, at least she'd drag him down with her. Trust me guys, this woman is built completely different. Suddenly, thick smoke billowed out with a sharp hiss. He Fei clutched her face, screaming in agony as everyone watched in pure panic. Her skin began to violently crack and peel. She gritted her teeth, groaning, "It's so itchy." But guys, what happened next was an absolute miracle. As the dead skin fell away, He Fei touched her newly healed cheek in total disbelief. Xiao Lin's jaw practically hit the floor. He thought, "I didn't expect her to be such a beauty." Overjoyed, Dr. Bai Ji threw her arms around Xiao Lin. "Success," she cheered. "I finally developed snow vision." System notifications rapidly chimed as intimacy points rolled in, hitting a whopping 200. Bai Ji looked at him with tear-filled eyes, saying, "Thank you, Xiao Lin." Xiao Lin wept dramatic tears of pure joy. "Finally," he cheered, "I can exchange it for nearly half a year of lifespan." He immediately initiated the exchange for the grand rejuvenation pill. But then, a heavy thud of reality hit him. The system drained all 200 points, leaving him with just one. He stared at the tiny pill in his hand, yelling, "What the heck?" He exploded in anger. "Who authorized the automatic exchange?" he yelled. "Last time it only cost 60 points. Why did the price jump up?" The system cheekily replied that the first time was just a first purchase discount. "Look, guys, even magical systems have terrible customer service." Xiao Lin gritted his teeth, muttering, "You're ruthless." Meanwhile, He Fei turned to Bai Ji, thoroughly impressed by the results. "Your medicine is incredibly powerful," she noted. "Why don't you participate in the medical aesthetics competition?" Bai Ji sighed heavily, her shoulders slumping. "I wanted to use that great promotional opportunity," she admitted sadly, "but my registration got rejected." But guys, this is where the story gets interesting. He Fei confidently handed her a sleek black VIP card with a wink. "Use this to register. No one will dare reject you." Xiao Lin stared in absolute shock. He thought, the Black Dragon card? That was the highest emblem of the He family, the underground rulers of the city. There were fewer than 10 in existence. He looked up at the fierce, red-haired woman standing before them. He realized he was looking at the legendary eldest sister of the Black Dragon family. However, Bai Ji still seemed doubtful. "What use is a card?" she asked, sighing. "The organizing committee this time is the Medical Aesthetics Association. Their standards are ridiculously high." Xiao Lin snatched the card, flashing a confident, determined grin. "Whether it's useful or not, we'll find out when we try," he declared. Bai Ji hesitated, asking if it was even appropriate. But Xiao Lin gently pushed her forward. "If this competition is so important, why not give it a shot?" With a sharp snatching sound, they grabbed the prototype medicine bottle from the counter. Bai Ji held it carefully. "These are our only finished products right now," she warned him, "so keep them safe." In the next scene, they arrived at the towering headquarters of the Medical Beauty Association under the bright sun. Inside, a woman in a stunning red dress strutted up to the registration desk. It was Zhou Na, confidently asking Director Yu to favor her during the final evaluation. Yu, the corrupt director, smiled with complete arrogance. "Don't worry, Mrs. Zhou," he said smoothly. "With your connections to Mr. Gao, you are guaranteed the champion title." Just then, Bai Ji and Xiao Lin approached the desk. Bai Ji politely announced they were there to register. Zhou Na turned around, a venomous smirk spreading across her face. "Oh, isn't this our outstanding alumna Bai?" she sneered. Bai Yi recoiled in shock, stuttering Jonas Name. Zhou Na aggressively mocked her, laughing at the audacity of bringing such a small, pathetic company to the competition. Xiao Lin leaned in, noticing the thick tension. Bai Ji whispered that they were old university friends, though she had no idea why Zhou Na always targeted her. "Trust me guys, there is always that one toxic classmate." Director Yu glanced down at their paperwork, his face contorting with disgust. He loudly called them out, claiming their company was known for shady practices. His eyes narrowed with intense malice. He abruptly stood up, shouting, "You are not members here, so you cannot participate." Desperate, Bai Ji pleaded with him, explaining that non-members were allowed and begging him to just look at their groundbreaking clinical data. But guys, the audacity of this man. Yu angrily threw their hard-worked clinical data straight into the air. "I said it doesn't meet the requirements," he roared. "Don't waste my time." The papers fluttered down around them like useless trash. Xiao Lin clenched his fists, glaring fiercely at the corrupt director. The battle lines were officially drawn. The arrogant Zhou Na pressed her heel into the scattered clinical data, laughing mercilessly at Bai Ji, who was kneeling on the floor to gather her hard work. Zhou Na sneered. "Bai Ji, I never expected that you, who was so high and mighty at the university, would be in this pathetic state now." "Ha ha ha." Tears welled up in Bai Ji's eyes as she pleaded. "This is my hard work, so please don't trample on it or disrespect it." Suddenly, Xiao Lin stepped in, holding up the gleaming Black Dragon VIP card. He shouted with authority, "Apologize to her. I demand that you apologize to her right now." Yu snatched the card from Xiao Lin's hand with an amused smirk. Are you going to give me the black card of the bank? Good, very good. Xiao Lin coldly replied. It's not a bank card. Realizing it wasn't a bank card, Yu's expression contorted into disgust. With a swift motion, he threw the precious card onto the ground. He yelled, Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, you'll never enter a medical beauty competition in your lifetime. Get out of my sight. Xiao Lin's eyes narrowed. Impressive. You even dared to throw the Black Dragon card? Yu, completely oblivious to his impending doom, pointed a finger and barked. Who the hell do you think you are in front of me? I've never even heard of this nonsense Black Dragon card. Look, I'm telling you guys, this guy is digging his own grave right now. Meanwhile, Zhou Na continued to laugh, taunting Bai Ji effortlessly. Bai Ji, just look at the man you found. He's nothing more than a low-level poser. Feeling humiliated and defeated, Bai Ji gently pulled on Xiao Lin's arm and whispered, Xiao Lin, should we leave? But Xiao Lin stood his ground. Wait, don't be in such a hurry. At this time, Xiao Lin pointed aggressively, his voice echoing through the hall. Let your president come and see me. Immediately. I'm a former #1 young master of Haicheng City. How can I be wrong about this card? Just then, a set of heavy footsteps approached from behind. An authoritative voice rang out. What do you want from me? A sharp-looking man in a tan suit walked up with an air of absolute control. I am President Xiao Ming. Xiao Ming, president of the Medical Aesthetics Association. Seeing him, Zhou Na immediately tried to kiss up to him. She strutted over and purred. President Xiao, it's just a small matter. There's a small company that got rejected from registering because their products are too poor in quality and they're causing trouble. Annoyed by the disruption, Xiao Ming sighed dismissively. What kind of company is it? Put them directly on the blacklist. But guys, this is where the story gets interesting. As Xiao Ming turned, his eyes caught a glimpse of something familiar lying on the marble floor. He froze, whispering, Oh no, it's... Sweating profusely, Xiao Ming scrambled to pick up the discarded item, his hands trembling in sheer terror. Goodness, it's really the Black Dragon card. Completely misreading the room, Yu proudly adjusted his glasses and said, President, this kid just took it out to show off, and I even stepped on it a few times. Throw in the trash bin quickly, don't dirty your hands. Xiao Ming's eyes widened in horror. He slowly turned and asked, You stepped on it? With a bright, oblivious smile, Yu nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, I did. With a sharp crack, Xiao Ming delivered a devastating slap directly across Yu's face, sending his glasses flying. Xiao Ming roared, You idiot! If you want in your life, don't drag me into it. Watching the sudden turn of events, Zhou Na gasped, her face pale with shock. She muttered, What's going on? Clutching his bruised cheek, Yu looked up in complete confusion and terror. He stuttered out a frantic plea. President Xiao, are you mistaken? It's just an ordinary card. Infuriated by his stupidity, Xiao Ming aggressively grabbed Yu by the collar of his shirt. Then, with heavy thuds, Xiao Ming started beating the absolute arrogance out of him. He screamed, If you dare say the Black Dragon card is ordinary, you're truly tired of living. Afterwards, Xiao Ming rushed over to Xiao Lin, bowing so deeply he almost touched the floor. He offered the VIP card back with both hands, trembling as he apologized. I apologize sincerely. It's my negligence in my work. You can directly participate without registering. Yu could only watch from his knees, completely stunned. Xiao Lin casually took the card back, looking entirely unimpressed by the spectacle. President Xiao, your association is really unruly, isn't it? Sweating bullets, Xiao Ming stammered. Yes, I'm deeply sorry. Standing behind him, Bai Ji covered her mouth in sheer amazement. She thought to herself, what? The card really turned out to be powerful. Meanwhile, Zhou Na was visibly panicking, cold sweat dripping down her face. Her mind raced as she thought, what is this person's identity? He actually makes President Xiao so respectful and even afraid. In the next scene, Xiao Ming turned his absolute fury back to Yu, pointing firmly toward the exit. You've lost your position as a council member, so get out immediately. Panicking, Yu waved his hands frantically. No. Please, I didn't recognize its importance. Spare me. But Xiao Ming ignored him, guiding Xiao Lin and Bai Ji inside. Desperate, Yu reached out and cried, I can't lose this job. I have elderly dependents and young ones to support. I was wrong, I spoke out of turn. Xiao Ming just told Xiao Lin, don't mind him, please proceed. Left behind, Yu scrambled over to Zhou Na on his knees, begging pathetically. Ms. Zhou, I lost my job because of you. You can't abandon me. But Zhou Na just crossed her arms, looking at him with utter disgust. Look at how spineless you are. They only have a president backing them up. They're nothing. Come on, guys, after all that, she still thinks she has the upper hand? Unbelievable. Flipping her hair confidently, Zhou Na assured him, Don't worry. Remember my boyfriend is Gao Jianhe. Instantly comforted by the wealthy name, Yu forced a smile and bowed. That's right, I'll always be loyal to you, following Gao Jianhe's lead. Zhou Na glared at her rival with supreme confidence, boldly declaring, Bai Ji, consider yourself lucky this time. But even if you can participate, so what? I've already won this competition. Meanwhile, Bai Ji calmly wiped her hands and told her test subject, You can go wash it off now. The woman, whose face was still covered in a thick layer of green paste, was totally stunned. She questioned, how is it possible for it to take effect so quickly? Suddenly, the test subject shot up from her chair, pointing an accusatory finger. She shouted, "Your products are nothing but scams." Keeping her composure, Bai Ji simply offered a gentle, reassuring smile and pleaded, "Please believe me." The woman crossed her arms, grumbling bitterly. "I'm so unlucky. Why wasn't I chosen as a test subject for Tina Aesthetics? Their Tina 1 is the best product." At this time, Zhona confidently strutted over in her high heels, mocking her competitor. "Bai Ji, you just started, and within 5 minutes, you're already finished." Holding up her own golden bottle like a trophy, Zhona smirked. "Are you voluntarily admitting defeat because you know you're unworthy? This is why your small company has no qualification to participate in this competition." Just then, loud gasps echoed through the room. People in the crowd began pointing and whispering, "Goodness, look at her face." A panicked voice suddenly screamed out, "Oh no, my face, my face." Heavy, frantic footsteps echoed across the tile floor as someone dashed away in absolute terror. But guys, this is where the story gets interesting. Moments later, Bai Ji's test subject returned from the washroom. Her skin was absolutely glowing. She was over the moon, practically screaming, "Your products are simply amazing." Zhona's jaw practically hit the floor. Sweating in pure shock, she muttered, "How did this happen?" Bai Ji just smiled calmly at the stunned crowd, replying, "It's okay." Afterwards, a laptop screen buzzed to life, displaying a massive digital notification. The system announced that the data of all 3 rounds were being analyzed. The cheerful announcer, Bowtie Bob, took the stage and raised his hands to the excited crowd. He declared, "After 3 rounds of strict selection, the 2 companies that have made it to the finals are Tina Aesthetics." Zhona looked insanely smug, soaking in the glory. But the announcer wasn't finished. He continued, "NG Aesthetics." Bai Ji immediately hugged Xiao Lin's arm, cheering, "We made it to the next round. Our Snow Vision is going to be a hit." Xiao Lin smiled back with unshakable confidence. "Yes, today marks the beginning. After this, the name of Snow Vision will spread throughout China and even overseas." The organizers then announced that the participating products were officially locked in secure display cases, and no one was allowed to touch them before the start of the finals. As they walked past, Zhona shot them a venomous glare, warning them, "If we win, you better not make a sound." In the next scene, a sharp, shattering crash echoed through a private room, as glass violently exploded across the floor. Zhona was losing her mind, leaning heavily against the mirror. She hissed, "Bai Ji, that despicable woman. How did she come up with such a good product? It's driving me crazy. Is my Tina 1 really going to become her stepping stone? I won't accept it." Guys, you can literally smell the jealousy radiating off her. Just then, a pair of sharp-dressed shoes stepped into the room. A smooth, arrogant voice called out, "Who made my babe like this?" Zhona instantly lit up, spinning around with a desperate smile. She cried out, "Gao Jianhe." She immediately wrapped herself around his arm, whining, "It's none other than Xiao Lin and Bai Ji, that couple. I don't know where they got the new formula, but they want to steal my championship." Hearing that name, Gao Jianhe paused, his eyes narrowing. Xiao Lin, a dark, sinister smile crept across Gao Jianhe's face. He muttered, "I haven't looked for him yet, but he's come to me on his own." Zhona looked totally confused. "Do you know him?" she asked. Gao Jianhe scoffed, explaining, "He's the former #1 young master of Haicheng, but now." Gao Jianhe's expression hardened with pure arrogance. "He's just a worthless stray dog." Zhona's confidence instantly returned, a wicked smirk forming on her lips. No wonder Bai Ji is so arrogant. Turns out she found a backer. But a phoenix without feathers and fire is no better than a chicken. She can't catch up to me in her lifetime. Clinging to Gao Jianhe, she begged playfully, "Jianhe, help me secure the championship. With my connections, once I win, the product will be pre-ordered by high-end private clubs nationwide, with a minimum turnover of 1 billion yuan." Gao Jianhe laughed smoothly. "Winning the championship is easy." He glanced over to the side, where the corrupt official, J.U., was nervously sweating. Gao Jianhe added, "It depends on whether Director Yu is willing." Eager to please the powerful man, J.U. quickly replied, "As long as I can help Gao Jianhe and Zhou Zong, I'm willing to face any difficulties." But guys, the real twist hasn't even started yet. Gao Jianhe flashed a terrifying, demonic grin. "Then it's a sure win." The announcer declared, "The final of the 8th National Medical Beauty Competition officially begins." Xiao Lin and Dr. Bai Ji stood ready on one side, while the arrogant Zhona and J.U. smirked from the other. Announcer said contestants can choose their own subjects. From acne breakout, disfigurement, wrinkles. Zhona confidently pointed at a woman with a prominent scar on her face, demanding, "You, come with me." Watching her walk away, Xiao Lin narrowed his eyes. He thought, Tina 1 is better at treating acne. Why would she choose a volunteer with such heavy disfigurement? There must be a hidden trick here. It seems we don't have the advantage, after all. After this, Bai Ji stepped forward and reached out to another volunteer, saying softly, "Then I choose her." But suddenly, Xiao Lin reached out, grabbing her arm. Wait, he shouted. He looked at her seriously and warned. Choosing to treat acne won't demonstrate an advantage. It will undoubtedly lead to our defeat. Bai Ji looked back unsure and asked, then, what should we do? Xiao Lin extended his hand toward an older woman with a traditional bun. He declared confidently, Auntie, I choose you. Crowd start to murmur. In the past 7 competitions, there has never been a successful case of wrinkle removal. Another said, oh my, G Medical Beauty has actually chosen the most challenging category, middle-aged and elderly wrinkles. The announcer's voice boomed through the hall. It's truly exciting. Tina Medical Beauty gave up their expertise in treating acne and chose scar removal to compete for the championship. Both Bai Ji and Zhou Na brought out their respective treatment products to the podiums. Meanwhile, G Medical Beauty has chosen an impossible challenge, the announcer continued. Is her choice based on arrogance or confidence? Let's wait and see. With a soft pop, Bai Ji confidently opened her bottle of Snow Vision. But guys, nobody could have imagined this. A noxious green smoke billowed out of the bottle. Bai Ji immediately covered her mouth in shock, gasping, something's not right. Xiao Lin stepped closer, asking, what's wrong? Trembling, Bai Ji cried out, they added sulfuric acid to it. Xiao Lin's face hardened with fury as he gritted his teeth. That's just too despicable, he muttered. Look, guys, adding acid to a skincare product? That's not just cheating, that's straight-up villain territory. Hearing the commotion, the sharp clack of high heels echoed across the floor as Zhou Na approached, mocking them. Furious, Bai Ji pointed directly at Zhou Na and threatened, you actually damaged our Snow Vision. I'm going to call the police. Zhou Na just sneered with absolute arrogance. I told you before, opposing me is not something you're worthy of. Leaning in with a smug, highly punchable smirk, Zhou Na challenged them. Do you have any evidence? I can sue you for defamation. Defeated, Bai Ji slumped against Xiao Lin, her voice breaking as she cried, Xiao Lin, we're going to lose. But Xiao Lin held her steady and replied firmly, no, we shouldn't give up until the last moment. Tears streamed down Bai Ji's face as she sobbed. It's useless. I only had that one bottle of Snow Vision. It's all my fault. I wasted this great opportunity. Seeing her cry, Xiao Lin desperately pleaded in his mind, System, please help me think of a solution. How can you bear to see a beautiful girl cry? A blue holographic screen appeared with a soft chime, recommending eternal spring water for 18 intimacy points. Xiao Lin thought, it seems promising, but can you lend me some intimacy points? The system coldly replied with another chime, displaying the message, we don't offer credit for small transactions. Xiao Lin just stared at the screen, completely speechless. Left with no other options, Xiao Lin rubbed his forehead, sighing deeply. Miss Bai, I'm sorry for jeopardizing our championship chances. Suddenly, he pulled her into a warm embrace, gently stroking her hair. Ji, please don't cry, he whispered softly. It hurts me to see you like this. As Bai Ji continued to sob against his chest, he secretly prayed for the system's intimacy points to increase. But the system ruthlessly shot him down again. Insufficient emotion detected. The screen flashed. Intimacy points will not increase. Xiao Lin's face dropped into a deadpan glare. I'm telling you guys, this system is the ultimate mood killer. It has zero respect for romance. Realizing he needed to trigger a genuine emotional response, Xiao Lin pulled out a rare red pill. Gee, here's the great rejuvenation pill you wanted, he said earnestly. Regardless of whether your G Medical Beauty is valuable or not, I promise to fulfill your request. But I have one additional condition. Sniffling, Bai Ji looked up and asked, what condition? Xiao Lin smiled warmly at her, his eyes full of genuine care. That is, you have to be happy. Bai Ji's eyes widened in surprise, her cheeks flushing pink as fresh tears welled up, this time from pure emotion. Xiao Lin, she whispered, deeply moved. Above her head, a massive notification popped up. Intimacy points plus 99. Overwhelmed with gratitude, she threw her arms around him in a tight, desperate hug. You're so kind, she cried softly. Hidden from her view, a devious, confident smirk spread across Xiao Lin's face. He thought done. At this time, Jie and Zhou Na walked over, bursting into obnoxious laughter. Bai Ji can't handle losing? Zhou Na mocked. I told you before, you're not worthy of competing against me. Jie added maliciously. From now on, G Medical Beauty will become a laughingstock in the beauty industry. Ha ha ha. But guys, the real twist hasn't even started yet. Xiao Lin turned to face them, his expression perfectly calm and dripping with confidence. You're celebrating too early, he stated. With a swift motion, a notification chimed, successful redemption of eternal spring water. In his hand, a small bottle materialized, glowing with an intense, magical blue light. He turned back to Bai Ji and handed her the glowing bottle. Use this, he urged. Bai Ji took it hesitantly, catching a whiff of the contents. It smells refreshing and delightful. She murmured, but will it be effective? Xiao Lin locked eyes with her, offering a reassuring smile. Do you trust me? He asked. All her doubts faded instantly. She beamed a bright, beautiful smile and answered without hesitation. Yes. All right, friends, The magical pink liquid of the Fountain of Youth was gently poured onto a waiting hand. Bun-haired Auntie nervously rubbed the serum onto her face with a soft sliding sound, hoping for a miracle. On stage, the host announced, "Now is the moment to witness the miracle and determine who will be the winner of the finals." The two test subjects stood perfectly still, their faces hidden behind identical hand fans. Zhona leaned in and sneered at Bai Ji, telling her that even though she was overshadowed in university, today she would crush Bai Ji under her feet. But Bai Ji just smiled confidently, replying that she was afraid she would disappoint her. First, Scarred Sue slowly lowered her fan. The crowd went dead silent. Her heavy scar was still completely visible. But guys, this is where the story gets interesting. Bun-haired Annie lowered her fan, and instantly, a collective gasp swept through the room. Her skin was absolutely glowing, completely renewed. The audience erupted. Spectators yelled out that it was literally like a fountain of youth. Zhona stared in absolute disbelief, her jaw practically hitting the floor. Instantly, reporters rushed the stage, frantically snapping photos with a flurry of camera clicks. The press went wild, declaring it an incredible breakthrough that would definitely be tomorrow's front-page headline. They called Bai Ji's creation a myth in the field of medical aesthetics. Meanwhile, Zhona and her supporters were losing their minds, screaming out loud, "How is that possible?" When a reporter eagerly asked what product she used for such a miraculous transformation, Bai Ji happily held up her little bottle, proudly announcing it as their newly developed fountain of youth. But Zhona fiercely pointed a finger at her, aggressively demanding an investigation from the committee. She accused Bai Ji of using prohibited hormones. Xiao Lin just smirked and tossed the bottle forward. "Feel free to conduct an examination," he said with absolute confidence. The liquid was quickly taken to the back and poured into a test tube for a rigorous analysis. A tense silence fell over the auditorium as a masked lab technician finally handed the official results to the host. The host cleared his throat and announced that, after thorough testing, they found absolutely no prohibited substances in the Fountain of Youth. He then built up the tension, preparing to announce the final winner. The champion is Tina Medical Aesthetics. Look, I'm telling you guys, I almost threw my screen when I saw this. Bai Ji was stunned speechless while Zhou Na crossed her arms with a smug, arrogant grin. Bai Ji's eyes widened in total devastation. She muttered in shock, wondering how this could possibly happen. Turning to her rival, Bai Ji demanded to know if Zhou Na was behind this. Zhou Na just laughed mockingly, proudly declaring that no matter how Bai Ji struggled, she would always live in her shadow. Bai Ji trembled, completely crushed, and asked just one word, "What?" Suddenly, the sharp sound of heavy footsteps echoed across the stage. Gao Jina stepped up, right behind Zhou Na. She leaned into him, gloating that the man behind her could manipulate everything. The crowd gasped, immediately recognizing him as the vice president of the Chamber of Commerce. Gao looked down at Xiao Lin and greeted him smoothly. Bai Ji finally understood, realizing that Zhou Na's arrogance was all because she had Gao backing her up. Xiao Lin's eyes narrowed dangerously. He coldly called Gao out, telling him he hadn't grown up at all if he still preferred his underhanded tactics and manipulations. Gao fired back that it was all about winning or losing, and no one cared about the means. Bai Ji thought in shock, wondering how Xiao Lin could confront such an influential figure in Haicheng without losing his momentum. Smirking, Gao told Xiao Lin that he just missed his only chance for a comeback. He arrogantly suggested that Xiao Lin should consider begging him for help before he lost everything in 6 months. But Xiao Lin didn't even flinch. He smiled back lazily and told Gao that he didn't see any capability in him worth his consideration. Gao's smile vanished. He asked if Xiao Lin had gone mad from losing. Xiao Lin simply replied, "I haven't lost yet." Just then, Xiao Lin threw his hand into the air and loudly declared to the host that he suspected Tina's product had added prohibited substances. Zhou Na completely lost her temper, yelling that it was an absolute insult. But Gao quickly grabbed her, harshly telling the silly woman to shut up. Gao leaned in and confidently whispered to Zhou Na that they should let the tests happen. He bragged that he had bribed everyone from top to bottom, and even if they found something wrong, he could turn black into white. Zhou Na swooned, praising his invincibility. But guys, what happens next will completely shock you. Xiao Lin stepped forward and pointed fiercely, shouting, "No need for testing. The test subjects are the best evidence." In the next scene, Scarred Sue suddenly let out a horrified scream. Her face began to severely react and visibly peel, revealing the terrifying side effects of Zhou Na's so-called winning product. Guys, the tension in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Zhou Na's face completely twisted in fury as she screamed, "It's not possible. There were no issues when we used it before." Meanwhile, Gao Jianhe glared down with a terrifying intensity. Jie stepped back, trembling. Gao Jianhe demanded, "What did you say?" Zhou Na immediately pointed an accusing finger directly at Jie, shouting, "It's you. You did everything." Panic completely washed over Jie face as he threw his hands up. He desperately defended himself, claiming, "It wasn't me. I just switched the products with each other. Nothing else. Look, I'm telling you guys, there is no honor among thieves. They always turn on each other the second things go wrong." Just then, Gao Jianhe stepped forward with his two menacing enforcers. Without an ounce of hesitation, he ordered, "Teach him a lesson." The enforcers immediately closed in, towering over the corrupt official. Jay was completely terrified. He pleaded with a heavy stutter. "Gao Jianhe, you cannot shift the blame onto others. It was not me." Realizing he was out of options, Jay reached out and yelled, "I confess. Zhona made me do it." But guys, nobody could have imagined this. Before he could even finish his sentence, one of the enforcers swung a heavy hand, delivering a brutal slap right across Jay Yu's gut with a devastating impact. The sheer force of the blow was staggering, sending a harsh wave of shock through the room as he was violently thrown back. After this, Xiao Lin quietly watched as the enforcers dragged the defeated Jay Yu away. A sharp smile crossed his face as he thought, "I was thinking of exposing the truth publicly, but it doesn't seem necessary anymore." Gao Jianhe will never let him speak up. In the next scene, the atmosphere completely flipped. The stage announcer presented a gleaming golden trophy to a very confused Dr. Baiji. He declared, "Now I announce this year's champion in medical aesthetics." Her eyes widened in absolute joy as she finally processed the words. She proudly announced the name of her clinic, G Medical Aesthetic. Holding the trophy tight, Baiji turned to Xiao Lin with a massive smile, cheering, "Xiao Lin, we did it." Xiao Lin smiled back gently and replied, "As long as you are happy." Meanwhile, a deeply bitter Zhou Na stormed out in the background. She glared back at them, trying to soothe her own crushed ego. She thought to herself, "It's just a championship. What is the big deal? I do not care." Overwhelmed with gratitude, Dr. Baiji leaned in and planted a sweet kiss right on Xiao Lin's cheek. She whispered, "Xiao Lin, thank you." At that exact moment, a system prompt chimed in his mind, awarding him 100 intimacy points. Afterwards, standing outside the massive Haiqing Medical Association building, Baiji finally asked the question on everyone's mind. "Xiao Lin, how did you anticipate their plan to switch products in advance?" She clung to his arm, looking at him with pure admiration. "You turned the tide against all odds. You are amazing." Xiao Lin just chuckled playfully and held up his phone. He confidently explained, "Because I have Zhuge Liang." She calculated everything accurately. Baiji blinked in utter disbelief, her jaw dropping slightly. She asked, "You have a military strategist too?" Suddenly, the crisp sound of high heels clicked against the pavement as a sophisticated woman approached them. She warmly greeted them, saying, "Sorry, there are too many reporters. It wasn't appropriate for me to show up." It was none other than Yilan, the queen of business, accompanied by her fierce bodyguard, Man. Yilan smiled elegantly and said, "I can only assist you from afar with some small strategies." Xiao Lin gestured toward her with absolute pride, introducing her to Baiji. "This is my female Zhuge Liang." He added that Yilan's ability to predict outcomes was indeed incredibly useful. Baiji gasped, her hands flying her mouth in pure shock. She cried out, "Yilan, the queen of business?" Yilan smoothly stepped between them, her presence commanding yet warm. She smiled and greeted her, "Ahem, nice to meet you." As the two powerful women shook hands, Yilan chuckled and said, "If I'm the Zhuge Liang, then Xiao Lin is our emperor." Baiji was still reeling from the revelation. She thought to herself, "Oh my, the most famous professional manager in the Chinese financial industry is actually working for Xiao Lin." After this, Xiao Lin handed Yilan a stack of paperwork, his tone shifting to pure business. "Yilan, from now on, G Aesthetic belongs to Qilin Group. Here are the paperworks." He explained she would also manage the high-end private orders. Yilan quickly analyzed the situation, asking, "What about the production capacity of the products? Can we keep up?" Xiao Lin nodded confidently. He reassured her that Snow Vision production was fine, and he could start large-scale production at any time. Yilan agreed, stating, "Indeed, Snow Vision is a high-end product. But guys, the real twist hasn't even started yet." Yilan's eyes suddenly gleamed with fierce ambition. She smirked and added, "But I'm more interested in the Fountain of Youth." Xiao Lin immediately started sweating, chuckling nervously as he rubbed the back of his head. He desperately pleaded, "Can we sell only Snow Vision? The Fountain of Youth would cost me my life." Yilan leaned in, her sharp business instincts taking over completely. "Okay," she agreed, but quickly pointed out, "But selling Snow Vision will only earn us a few billion and a half a year, while the Fountain of Youth can earn us hundreds of billions." Xiao Lin's eyes nearly popped out of his head. He was completely stunned, repeating in shock, "Hundreds of billions." Trust me, guys, when you hear the words hundreds of billions, any man's fear completely vanishes. Instantly motivated, Xiao Lin slammed his hands down, and out of thin air, a row of glowing blue bottles appeared with a magical shimmer. He eagerly declared, "Fine, this time we will start with 8 bottles. Once they sell out, I will arrange more for you." Yilan jumped back in absolute shock, shouting, "How did it appear?" Yilan quickly instructed, "May, quickly put it away so no one sees." Maine scrambled to hide the blue bottles, looking completely stressed out, while Xiao Lin stood there watching the chaos with a drop of sweat forming on his brow. Xiao Lin gestured to the box, casually asking, "It's not some precious treasure. Who would care about it?" Baiji crossed her arms and replied, "Not a precious treasure? You really have a big heart. Meanwhile, then, Yilon held up one of the bottles with a calculating gleam in her eye. She declared, I plan to divide each bottle into 100 portions and sell each for 10 million. That would be 10 billion per bottle. Xiao Lin's jaw practically hit the floor as he thought. That's really expensive. Bai Ji looked skeptical, asking, can it sell at such a high price? Yilon confidently raised the bottle, surrounded by a radiant aura. She smiled and said, it will definitely sell. You know nothing about the future prospects of the Fountain of Youth. You underestimate the wealth of wealthy women. As long as I do some promotion, this product will become legendary. With a confident clack of her heels, Yilon stepped right up to Xiao Lin. Leaning in close, she smiled mischievously and whispered, since you've hired this sister, I'll help you clean up this mess, my little boss. Making 20 trillion in half a year is a bit challenging for this sister, but she'll give her all for you. Xiao Lin leaned back, sweating nervously. He awkwardly replied, oh, thank you, sister. Suddenly, a system prompt appeared, showing a measly plus 10 intimacy points. Xiao Lin sighed internally, thinking, Yilon is really hard to impress. Every time, it's either no increase in intimacy points or just 10. It's too difficult to gain more. I'm telling you guys, winning over the Queen of Business is no walk in the park. After this, Xiao Lin decided it was time to make his escape. He ran off, waving his hand, shouting, you can talk about work. I have something to attend to. I'll leave first. Yilon stood in the background, looking slightly annoyed. Standing outside the grand entrance of his residence, Xiao Lin let out a heavy sigh. He thought, a group of enchanting fairies is really overwhelming. I need to take a shower and calm down. With a soft click, the door opened. Inside, the assassin Yuxian had just stepped out of the shower. Wrapped in a towel, she looked at him in surprise and said, you're back. I'm almost done with my shower. Just wait a moment. Xiao Lin jumped back, completely caught off guard. He yelled out in pure panic. Ah. With a sharp whip, a pink towel flew straight into his face. Yuxian stared at him with a deadpan expression, remarking, as the young master, you should have witnessed such scenes before, right? Xiao Lin pulled the towel off his face, a nervous smile spreading across his lips. He awkwardly asked, can't the young master be an innocent teenage boy? Just then, the goddess contract system panel glowed in front of him. It displayed his contracted targets and his grim reality. His remaining lifespan was down to a mere 10 minutes, though his intimacy points sat at 48. Sitting back on his luxurious couch, Xiao Lin stared at the holographic screen. He thought, only 10 minutes left? Thankfully, I made a contract with Bai Ji. She helped me increase my intimacy points. With a quick tap, he purchased more time, extending his lifespan to 48 days. He thought, I'll exchange everything and enjoy a few carefree days. I have plenty of time now. But guys, this is where the story gets interesting. He remembered the mysterious illusion from before. Last time, I entered the illusion, but I came out before the door opened. I wonder what's behind it. I should take a look while I have the chance. Closing his eyes, a mystical pink aura completely enveloped him. He floated down gracefully into a breathtaking, ethereal realm, landing gently in front of the grand goddess temple. He looked around in awe and whispered, that's right, this is the place. With a heavy push, the massive doors slowly creaked open. Xiao Lin stepped forward, his eyes wide with amazement. He said, I can actually enter. He walked into a magnificent hall, lined with towering golden pillars and elegant hanging banners. Approaching a wooden rack filled with bamboo scrolls, he wondered aloud, is this the registry of all the goddesses I need to make contracts with? He grabbed one of the scrolls and unrolled it with a crisp snap. Doing the math in his head, he thought, 3 volumes, 12 names on each, so that's 36. Can I handle that? Come on, guys, that's a whole lot of drama waiting to happen. He scanned the profile of Ling Xiu, an 18th tier actress with a cold exterior but a warm heart. He murmured, is this Ling Xiu also one of my contracted targets? Suddenly, a small, white dog adorned with coin jewelry leaped forward with a sharp bark. A mysterious, elegant voice echoed from above, bold. How dare you trespass in the palace of the goddesses? Xiao Lin flinched, looking over his shoulder in sheer panic. He shouted, there's someone here, and it's a woman. Before he could react, the little dog erupted into a roaring pillar of intense flames. The tiny pup transformed into a massive, terrifying hellhound with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp fangs. It roared fiercely at him, and Xiao Lin screamed, oh my goodness! With a heavy swoop, the beast lunged. Xiao Lin turned and sprinted for his life, yelling, I'm out of here. Xiao Lin suddenly snapped awake, his face pale and dripping with sweat. Seeing him panic, Yuxian rushed over and pulled him into a tight embrace. She whispered softly, what's wrong? Did you have a nightmare? It's all right. No matter what happens, I'll be there for you. Holding him close, she closed her eyes in sympathy, thinking to herself, he's still just a young man, and he has experienced such enormous changes in a short period. The pressure must be significant. But guys, Xiao Lin wasn't having any of it. With a swift push, he shoved her away, his cheeks flushed red. Don't come close like this, he yelled. Are you just trying to use me and live off my rent? Your tricks have been exposed. I'm quite smart, you know. I am telling you guys, I'm telling you, our hero is an idiot. Suddenly, with a heavy thud, a pillow came flying through the air and smacked Xiao Lin squarely in the face, knocking him backward with a loud yelp. Annoyed, Yuxian turned her back and stomped away. Xiao Lin rubbed his head and muttered, "You're a female hooligan." Without even looking back, she snapped, "Hooligan, truly the master of the house." Just then, a sharp buzzing sound broke the silence. A smartphone lit up on the nearby table. Xiao Lin picked it up, his face filled with confusion. He thought to himself, "My phone hasn't rung in a long time since bankruptcy. Who's calling now?" Looking at the screen, it was a message from his old class group chat. The class monitor, Chao Haiyang, had sent a flashy invitation. "Everyone, today is Teacher Qiao's birthday. I've reserved the top VIP room at Haicheng Grand Hotel for everyone. Please make sure to bring your significant others along." After Sun Peng and Liao Meiwan quickly agreed, Chao tagged Xiao Lin directly. "Sunny and outgoing big boy Xiao Lin, you must come too. Teacher Qiao was always the nicest to you back then." Xiao Lin stared at the screen. He scoffed, thinking, "Although I don't care about Chao Haiyang, Teacher Qiao was indeed good to me back then. I should visit him." Without hesitation, he typed back, "Okay." Afterwards, he threw on his sleek suit jacket and headed for the door. "You have dinner on your own? I'm going out for a bit," he called out. Yuxian peeked from the hallway, her eyes narrowing. "Where are you going so late? Is it a date?" Meanwhile, Yuxian walked into the living room carrying a plate of fresh apples. She glanced down and spotted another smartphone left on the coffee table. "Huh, did you drop your phone?" she asked the empty room. The screen was glowing with an urgent, unread message from his classmate, Liao Meiwan. It read, "Xiao Lin, it's me. Let me tell you, please don't come to the gathering. They have set a trap for you." Yuxian's expression went completely blank as she read the warning. She stared at the screen, silent and deep in thought. In the next scene, under the bright afternoon sun, the towering Haicheng Grand Hotel stood majestically against the sky. With a confident stride, Xiao Lin walked straight through the grand entrance, completely unaware of the ambush waiting inside. As he stepped into the luxurious VIP room, his former classmates were already gathered around the table. The spiky-haired Sun Peng immediately threw his hands up, shouting with a mocking grin, "Hey, isn't this young Master Xiao?" Before Xiao Lin could take another step, Sun Peng wagged his finger. "Hold on, young Master Xiao, don't rush to enter. We have rules for seating today. Those who arrive in cars worth over 1 million sit at the center table, and those in cars worth less than 1 million sit on the sides." Xiao Lin didn't even flinch. He confidently pointed his finger up and declared, "Then I can sit above Teacher Qiao. The car I came in is worth over 50 million. Sun Peng's jaw dropped as he sputtered in disbelief. The class monitor, Chao Haiyang, began to sweat. He leaned forward and demanded, "What kind of car costs 50 million? Isn't it the Pagani function you had before? Wasn't it confiscated?" Liao Meiwan and Teacher Qiao watched the exchange in stunned silence. Xiao Lin just waved his hand casually and shouted with a straight face, "Subway, costs 50 million. Chao Haiyang nearly choked on his own spit, coughing violently at the sheer audacity. "Come on, guys, you have to admit, that was a smooth comeback for a broke guy." Dropping the joke, Xiao Lin's smile turned sharp. He looked right at him. "Chao Haiyang, I know you invited me here just to laugh at me, but because of Teacher Qiao's past kindness to me, I still came." He then muttered casually, "Though that kindness was because my dad gave Teacher Qiao an apartment." Hearing this brutal honesty, both Teacher Qiao and Chao Haiyang started coughing out of pure embarrassment. Chao Haiyang gritted his teeth, thinking to himself, "With a few words, you've completely dismissed my intimidation. Truly worthy of a wealthy young master." He remembered how he was always overshadowed by Xiao Lin's wealth in the past. He glared, thinking, now that he's bankrupt, I must reclaim the dignity I lost back then. Liao Meiwan asked, "Why didn't you reply to my message?" Not getting the reaction he wanted, Chao Haiyang gave a subtle side eye and a fake cough, directly signaling his lackey, Sun Peng, to step in. Sun Peng immediately caught on and smirked maliciously. "Xiao Lin, I heard your family is going bankrupt and owes a lot of debt. The class monitor is now part of the Gao group. Borrowing tens of millions or even hundreds of millions for you is not a problem." He pointed a finger, demanding, "Respect the class monitor and toast him. Maybe he'll help you solve your debts. So, tell us, how much do you owe?" But guys, nobody could have imagined this response. Xiao Lin's face lit up with fake excitement. "Really? That's great. I owe 2 trillion, relying on the class monitor to help me out." Upon hearing that astronomical number, Chao and Sun Peng instantly spit out their drinks, coughing in absolute shock. Wiping his mouth, Chao Haiyang waved his hands in a total panic. "Stop talking nonsense. The Gao group is mine. How can I help him? Let's all enjoy the cuisine." Sun Peng looked completely terrified by the 2 trillion figure. From aside, Xiao Lin just rolled his eyes and scoffed, "Huh, that's it." Just as the tension was settling, the heavy doors of the VIP room swung open. Sun Peng jumped up, pointing excitedly. "Oh, sister-in-law is here." Everyone turned their attention to the grand entrance. A stunning woman stepped into the light, dressed in an elegant, form-fitting dress. "I'm sorry I'm late," she said softly. Xiao Haiyang immediately puffed out his chest and threw his hand proudly toward her. Let me introduce you, Xiao Lin. This is my girlfriend, Ling Xiyu. She's a big star, you know. However, Ling Xiyu just stood there, her beautiful face completely cold and unimpressed. Trying to show off, Xiao Haiyang smugly placed his hand on her waist. But Ling Xiyu's eyes narrowed, shooting a sharp, intense glare at his hand with undeniable disgust. Completely oblivious to her reaction, Xiao Haiyang turned back to gloat. Xiao Lin, isn't my girlfriend beautiful? I heard you got dumped by your girlfriend. You're so pitiful. Wanting in on the action, Sun Peng pointed an accusatory finger at Xiao Lin and snapped. Don't look at my sister-in-law with that lecherous look. You don't deserve such a goddess. But Xiao Lin wasn't paying attention to their insults. He stared directly at the woman, his mind racing. He thought to himself, Ling Xiyu? Isn't she one of my contracted targets? Meanwhile, Sun Peng rushed up to her with a piece of paper, grinning like a fool. Sister-in-law, can you give me an autograph? I really like your performance in Chasing Dreams in the entertainment circle. Liao Meiwan leans in, whispering to Xiao Lin. She offers, my husband has something to attend to today, so how about I pretend to be your girlfriend temporarily? I can help you through this situation. What do you think? But guys, Xiao Lin politely declines. He replies, I appreciate the kind intention, but it could affect your relationship with your husband if rumors spread. No need to do that. Teacher Xiao smiles warmly, chiming in. All the students in our class have found someone, except you who are still single. Should I introduce someone to you? Sun Peng bursts into mocking laughter. Huh, with so much debt, who would be willing to marry him? Xiao Haiyang smirks, adding insult to injury. There might be someone interested in taking on his liabilities. Liao Meiwan scolds them both, shouting, you guys. But guys, this is where the story gets interesting. With a screeching halt, a stunning woman on a Ducati motorcycle arrives. Spectators stare in awe, whispering, wow, she has an amazing figure. She's so hot. Trust me, it's none other than his fierce bodyguard, man. Xiao Haiyang puffs up his chest with arrogant confidence. He smiles smugly, saying, she's walking towards us. Who is she looking for? She might be looking for me. Suddenly, a pair of delicate hands rest gently onto Xiao Lin's shoulders. Mayan embraces him from behind, her voice dripping with sweetness. Honey, why did you come out without me? I feel so bored at home. Xiao Haiyang's jaw practically hits the floor. Xiao Lin, playing it cool, replies, don't be silly, there are many people watching. Teacher Xiao laughs, seemingly delighted. Huh, so, Xiao Lin already has a girlfriend. Xiao Haiyang grits his teeth in pure annoyance. He grumbles, didn't he say he didn't have one? When did he find such a beautiful girlfriend with a great figure? Sun Peng leans in to comfort the furious class monitor. Well, Xiao Lin's girlfriend is alright, but her car is too shabby. Our sister-in-law drives a luxury car. Hearing this, Xiao Haiyang's smug smile finally returns. Teacher Xiao nods in agreement, pointing enthusiastically. Absolutely, a partner's capabilities are essential for their future development. Xiao Haiyang's girlfriend is indeed more outstanding in this regard. Look, even the teacher is taking sides here, guys. Just then, a bright green sports car pulls up with a sharp screech. Dr. Bai Ji steps out, looking absolutely radiant. The crowd gasps. Wow, luxury car and a beautiful woman. This goddess is coming towards us too. Who is she looking for this time? With a soft smack, another hand lands squarely on Xiao Lin's shoulder. Bai Ji leans in closely, asking, Boss, I'm having a bit of trouble with the new formula. Can you help me out? Xiao Lin calmly replies, Sure, no problem. Xiao Haiyang and Sun Peng look completely flabbergasted. Xiao Haiyang is trembling with rage. He snarls, she's here to see Xiao Lin too. This is unbelievable. Meanwhile, Sun Peng starts sweating profusely, thinking, what exactly am I lacking? Reaching his boiling point, Xiao Haiyang points an accusing finger directly at Xiao Lin. So what if you have a luxury car? If you have the ability, let your girlfriend come in a private jet. Don't pretend like you're still the wealthy young master from before. You're just a loser, both in finances and in love. Suddenly, a heavy, rhythmic thumping sound echoes through the air. The entire room turns their attention toward the window. A massive gust of wind blasts against the glass. Sun Peng and Xiao Haiyang panic. Sun Peng yells out in pure shock. Nonsense. Friends, what happens next will completely shock you guys. A bright red helicopter is descending right outside the hotel, whipping up a fierce storm. Someone in the room screams. Actually came in a helicopter? The doors open, and an elegant, commanding figure steps out. It's the queen of business herself, Yilan. Xiao Haiyang's eyes light up with sudden hope. He beams and steps forward, saying, I know her. She's the famous queen of business and is now recruiting her team. She must be here to see me. Yilan. Come on, guys. The sheer audacity of this man is hilarious. But Yilan walks right past the outstretched hand of Xiao Haiyang. Instead, she looks directly at Xiao Lin and warmly calls out, Darling. Xiao Haiyang is left standing there, completely frozen in shock. Yilan stands beside Xiao Lin, totally ignoring everyone else. She asks, I haven't had dinner yet. Aren't you going to invite me for a meal? Xiao Lin smirks and replies, Today class monitor is treating. I wonder if he minds? Sweating buckets, Chao Haiyang forces a painful smile. He stammers out, "Of course not, why would I?" Liao Meiwan laughs happily, cheering, "The mighty young master Xiao is back." Sun Peng, absolutely terrified, admits, "Now I finally understand the saying, a starving camel is still larger than a horse." Ling Xiyu watches the scene unfold, deeply impressed. She thinks to herself, this guy called Xiao Lin is quite impressive. He managed to charm so many goddesses at once. Teacher Qiao tries to keep a straight face, lecturing, "Xiao Lin, this isn't right. You should be faithful in relationships. No one will envy this extravagant lifestyle of yours." But underneath, Chao Haiyang and Sun Peng are sobbing waterfalls, crying, "I envy him to tears." But guys, the real twist hasn't even started yet. Suddenly, the door to the private room is violently kicked open with a loud crash. An arrogant enforcer storms in, shouting, "This private room has been reserved by young Master Gao. You all need to leave immediately." The tension in the room instantly spiked. Sun Peng pointed an angry finger at the towering enforcer, shouting, "Who is this young Master Gao? There should be a first-come, first-serve rule. Why should we give in?" Look, guys, running your mouth to a giant henchman is never a smart move. Without a second of hesitation, the bouncer delivered a brutal kick, sending Sun Peng crashing to the floor with a heavy thud. He sneered, "You talk too much. Our Gao group's young master gets priority." Panic immediately washed over the rest of the table. Liao Meiwan and Teacher Qiao exchanged terrified glances. Trembling, she whispered, "We can't afford to offend the Gao group. Should we leave early then?" Chao Haiyang stood and said, "Why the rush? We haven't even finished our drinks. Don't forget, I'm an employee of the Gao group. They will definitely give me face." Desperate for a savior, the classmates turned to Chao Haiyang. Sun Peng, still clutching his bruised face, praised him. "The class monitor is really capable." Teacher Qiao gave an approving thumbs up, adding, "When I chose you to be the class monitor, I didn't misjudge you." Feeling emboldened, Chao Haiyang stepped forward with a confident smirk. He addressed the intruders, "Gao young master, which branch of the Gao group are you from?" "I am a sales manager of the Gao group's construction company. Today, it seems like you're in deep trouble." But guys, before Chao Haiyang could even finish his boast, the bouncer swung a massive hand, striking him across the face with a deafening smack. The enforcer barked, "Does a mere department manager like you have a right to call yourself part of the Gao family?" Chao Haiyang hit the floor hard, instantly knocked out cold. Liao Meiwan rushed to his side, her voice trembling in absolute terror as she cried out, "Class monitor, are you all right?" Teacher stood up and said, "Don't get involved, let's leave," but someone shouted, "No one is leaving." It was Xiao Lin. He stepped forward, slipping his hands into his pockets with total composure. He firmly stated, "I've taken this private room today." His former classmates instantly turned on him. Sun Peng yelled, "Xiao, what are you up to? Don't get us in trouble." Chao Haiyang, groggy and furious, chimed in, "Don't think you're still the former wealthy young master. In front of young Master Gao, you are nothing." Gao Jianhe sneered, his eyes filled with sheer arrogance as he recognized him. "So, it's young Master Xiao again," he mocked. "Your classmates are right. You need to recognize your current situation. You dare talk back. Did you forget what happened last time?" At this time, Zhona leaned in close to Gao Jianhe, whispering a malicious plan. "Don't argue with him. Ask the hotel owner to kick him out and let him lose face. No one will dare to disrespect the Gao family." Gao Jianhe's grin widened as he agreed. "Makes sense." Gao Jianhe proudly ordered his man, "Go, invite Ms." But before anyone could move, the sharp click of high heels echoed from the hallway. A confident voice interrupted, "No need, I'm coming in myself." The atmosphere shifted instantly as Fei strode into the room, radiating absolute authority. The crowd gasped in awe, someone muttering, "Oh my, it's Miss He." Her expression was ice cold, her piercing blue eyes locking onto the intruders. With a commanding tone that left no room for argument, she ordered, "Please leave. You are not welcome here." Gao Jianhe burst into arrogant laughter, pointing a mocking finger at Xiao Lin. "Haha, Xiao Lin, have you ever been kicked out like this before? But with so many embarrassing moments, you'll get used to it. I'm telling you guys, the sheer audacity of this guy is unbelievable." Fei's gaze darkened as she aggressively pointed directly at the Gao group's young master. "Gao Jianhe, what I said was for you." The smug smile vanished from his face instantly, replaced by absolute shock as he stuttered out a bewildered, "Me." Fei pointed a finger and said, "That's right. It's you. Xiao Lin is my esteemed guest. From now on, this private room is reserved for him to use exclusively." The classmates were left utterly speechless. Sun Peng gasped. The He family actually drove away the Gao family's young master for Xiao Lin. Liao Meijuan's eyes went wide as she whispered, "Isn't Xiao Lin supposed to be bankrupt? How does he still have such a high status?" Humiliated and furious, Gao Jianhe gritted his teeth, letting out a sharp hiss of pure frustration. Refusing to leave quietly, he shot one last venomous glare at Xiao Lin. Pointing a trembling finger, he threatened, "Xiao Lin, you got lucky today, but not every time someone will have your back." After the intruders finally left, Fei turned her attention back to Xiao Lin, her tone softening with concern. Gao Jianhe seems to have some issues with you. He's a petty and vengeful person. You need to be careful. Xiao Lin offered a polite smile, calmly replying, "Yes, thank you for your assistance." With a playful smirk, He-Fei raised her hand and snapped her fingers with a sharp crack. On cue, a waiter approached carrying a tray with a tremendously expensive bottle of wine. He-Fei smiled warmly, telling him, "You can just use your Black Dragon card for payment. You don't need to spend penny. These bottles are 30-year-old Romani Conti. It's on me. If it's not enough, feel free to get more from the wine cellar." Watching this display of ultimate respect, the former classmates were crushed by reality. Sun Peng muttered, defeated, "After all, you're still a wealthy young master from a wealthy family. Even in your decline, you're still better than us." Chao Haiyang clenched his fists in despair, groaning, "I've done so much, but I still can't surpass him." Meanwhile, Ling Xiu, who had been quietly observing, felt a sudden shock wave through her. Her eyes widened as she thought to herself, "A Black Dragon card? He has a Black Dragon card." Having settled the dispute, He-Fei gracefully turned toward the door, waving a casual goodbye. "You guys enjoy yourselves. I'll leave first." As soon as she was gone, Dr. Baiji looked up at Xiao Lin with curiosity. "Xiao Lin, is she treating you so well because she has feelings for you?" Yilan quickly agreed, adding, "That's right." Xiao Lin only cured her face. It seems unlikely that she would embarrass the Gao family for that reason, unless there's something else she needs from Xiao Lin. Xiao Lin gently touched his chin, a thoughtful look crossing his face. "That might be the case," he reasoned, "but she hasn't spoken about it, and I can inquire. We'll see in the future." Desperate to salvage whatever dignity he had left, Chao Haiyang quickly grabbed Ling Xiu's arm. My girlfriend has to go shoot a big-budget film, so we'll leave now," he announced, hoping to at least save face. Sun Peng eagerly hyped him up. "Your sister-in-law got a big role again? She might become a top star soon." As the couple reached the doorway, Xiao Lin's voice suddenly cut through the room. "Wait, Miss Ling," he called out. Chao Haiyang stopped, asking suspiciously, "Is there something you need?" "What happens next will completely shock you guys." Xiao Lin stepped forward, extending his hand with absolute confidence, and boldly declared, "Miss Ling, I want you." Ling Xiu froze, a stunned "huh" escaping her lips. Chao Haiyang's face turned bright red with rage. He screamed, "Trying to poach my girl right in front of my face? Do you think I'm a pushover?" Recovering from her shock, Ling Xiu's expression hardened into a fierce, protective glare. She snapped back, "Mr. Xiao, please show some respect." Xiao Lin said to Yilan, "Yilan, I've decided on Ling Xiu. No matter what method you use, help me win her over." She replied, "Yes, sir." The tension in the room was palpable. Yilan stepped forward, asserting, "Miss Ling, my boss has taken a liking to you." Xiu crossed her arms, clearly offended. She scoffed, "How can a dignified business queen be a pimp?" But the woman just leaned in closer, whispering a tempting offer. "I can help you participate in the Octopus Game variety show." Xiu gasped, her eyes widening. "What did you say?" Xiu couldn't believe her ears. "The Octopus Game? That's the hottest variety show right now. Can I really go on it?" Yilan smiled knowingly, explaining that the entertainment company under Qiling Group had a direct spot in the game. "Look, guys, she knew exactly how to play this." Yilan smirked, bluntly stating, "Your real status in the entertainment industry is nothing more than a D-list actress. Whereas, I will do my best to help you in the championship." She added that the winner would secure the female lead in a major fantasy drama, launching her to top-tier stardom. She was completely stunned. She stammered, asking if she could really be the female lead. "Suddenly, Gao Haiyang panicked." He grabbed Xiu's arm, desperately pulling her back. "Ling Xiu, don't believe them. Come with me quickly," he urged. "Don't forget, you're my girlfriend now." But Yilan wasn't buying it. She raised an eyebrow and asked, "Is she really your girlfriend?" She stared him down with a piercing gaze, calling his bluff. "From my observation, Ling Xiu is an actress you paid for, right?" Chao Haiyang froze, a cold sweat breaking out across his face. He gasped in absolute shock. "Ah, how did you know?" Realizing his massive blunder, he covered his mouth. "Oops, I slipped up," he muttered. Xiu just glared at him with deadpan annoyance. "Come on, guys, that was the worst cover-up in history." He stumbled back, stammering helplessly, unable to form a sentence. Yilan rolled her eyes, calling him hypocritical. Just then, Xiao Lin stepped up, shaking his head. "Monitor, why did you even need to hire an actress for this?" With a sharp footstep, Xiao Lin confidently stepped forward, calling out, "Miss Ling." He handed her a formal document with a charming smile. "Now, can you join my group?" Seeing the opportunity of a lifetime, Xiu firmly agreed. "All right, fine." Xiao Lin turned to Yilan, thoroughly impressed. "Truly, my lady Zhuge," he praised. "You have keen observation and wise calculations." She turned her head away with a proud humph, leaving Xiao Lin looking a bit bewildered by her sudden attitude. At that moment, a holographic system screen materialized before Xiao Lin. It confirmed the contract with Ling Xiu was successful, granting him 15 days of life. But unfortunately, a second notification popped up, stating he had insufficient intimacy points to obtain the card rewards. Xiao Lin frowned, analyzing the situation. He realized that unlike the others who were driven by money, securing reward from higher-level targets like jade hairpins required meeting much harder conditions. After this, Xiao Lin and the girls turned to leave the hotel. Chao Haiyang reached out pathetically, begging Xiu not to go, but Xiao Lin simply commanded, "Let's go." Before stepping out, Ling Xiu threw a mocking wink over her shoulder. "Don't fake it too much, be strong," she teased. Chao Haiyang started crying, "Xiao Lin, you jerk. You slapped my face, and now you want to steal my girlfriend." But guys, as they stepped outside the Haichang Grand Hotel, his face suddenly stopped, warning them that this was not good. A group of menacing thugs blocked their path. The Scarhead bouncer sneered, declaring that Xiao Lin couldn't escape this time, challenging him to bring it on. The other henchmen jeered with crude arrogance. "I want a beauty," one drooled, while another laughed. "I want the biggest one." Xiao Lin wasn't about to back down. A fierce, fiery aura erupted around him. He glared menacingly, vowing to show Gao Jinhe his true power. He thought to himself that with more goddess contracts, he had more people to protect, and running was no longer an option. "It's also time for Haiching to know how formidable I, Xiao Lin, am," he declared. With a sharp hiss, fiery energy surged around his fist as he wound up for a devastating strike. He dashed forward like lightning. With a series of heavy impacts, he effortlessly swept through the gang, sending the henchmen flying into the air. He leaped towards the Scarhead bouncer, reminding him that the last time was an accident, but this time would be different. As his fist collided with the enforcer's block, Xiao Lin roared, "This time, you'll be beaten even worse." He pulled his arm back, gathering a massive amount of glowing energy, shouting, "Divine Fist! Meteor Fist!" A thunderous barrage of fiery punches struck the Scarhead bouncer, completely overwhelming him with devastating impacts. The dust settled, revealing Xiao Lin standing victorious over the unconscious thugs. He glared down at them, commanding them to tell Gao Jinhe that he would uncover the truth about the Qiling group's dead, even if the Gao family was involved in the plot. He clenched his fists, his eyes burning with absolute resolve. "Even if he rules Haicheng with an iron fist," Xiao Lin swore, "I will break through this plot." Gao Jinhe violently stomped his foot onto the bandaged brawler's face, yelling that they were all a bunch of idiots. The battered thug pleaded with his boss, crying out that he really couldn't defeat Xiao Lin because he was just too strong. Enraged by this excuse, Gao Jinhe snatched a heavy glass ashtray and launched a brutal kick, shouting at him for spouting nonsense. With a sickening impact, a crimson mist filled the air as Gao Jinhe mocked the man for even trying to dodge. He pressed his foot down again, declaring that Li Haoxuan's lackeys were completely worthless and demanded the man to kneel before him. Suddenly, the elegant President Gong Monli strolled into the room alongside a striking silver-haired man, casually asking what had provoked him to get so angry. Hearing this, Gao Jinhe finally took a seat, trying to compose himself. He looked over and guessed that Yu Xiaoqiang had sent them. Gong Monli confirmed his suspicion, explaining that since Yu Xiao knew Xiao Lin was still kicking, he sent a skilled expert to help deal with the problem. The silver-haired man confidently introduced himself as Wen Chao, the top assassin from the Assassin Society, boasting that he had never failed a mission before. "Look, guys, anyone who brags about never failing is definitely about to fail spectacularly." A sinister smirk crept across Gao Jinhe's face as he revealed his plan. Xiao Lin was taking a female star to a variety show, making it the perfect opportunity to end the threat once and for all. Meanwhile, outside the Grand Chateau de Fear, the recording site for the highly anticipated Octopus game awaited its contestants. Xiao Lin and the actress Ling Xiu arrived, marveling at the imposing architecture. But guys, nobody could have imagined this. A mocking voice suddenly interrupted them, asking how young Master Xiao still had the mood to escort female stars instead of paying back his massive 20 trillion debt. Xiao Lin turned around, narrowing his eyes as he asked why the man was even there. It was Gao Jinhe, accompanied by the incredibly popular idol trainee, Chao Xinyu. Gao smugly replied that his entertainment company was famous, so he had every right to attend. Chao Xinyu dramatically sighed, complaining that the show was losing its dignity if just anyone could participate, adding that he only came because Gao personally invited him. Gao chuckled and told his star not to worry about the cannon fodder, assuring him the champion's throne was practically his. Just then, the crowd erupted into gasps as the legendary film queen, Yu Fei, made her grand entrance. She strutted in gracefully, completely capturing everyone's attention with her elegance. Feeling intimidated, Xiao Lin nervously asked if those two were really that famous. Ling Xiu nodded, admitting that an idol and a film queen were guaranteed popularity magnets. Ling Xiu sighed, wondering how a D-list actress like her could possibly compete against them for the championship. Xiao Lin casually brushed off her worries, telling her to just go with the flow because they would only know the true winner by fighting to the end. Ling Xiu stared at him, secretly wondering how he could be so confident in such a dire situation. She questioned if it was just pure arrogance or if he actually had the skills to back it up. At this time, the flamboyant show host, Tentacle Timmy, took the center stage in a bright pink octopus suit. He enthusiastically welcomed the guests and explained the simple rules. Artists and managers would form teams to compete across 3 rounds, with the audience voting for the ultimate champion on a live broadcast. The first round of the competition is called Sweetheart Push-Ups. Either the manager or the artist does push-ups, and the other person can choose to be on top or on the bottom. The team that completes the most push-ups will earn high scores. Seizing an opportunity, Gao Jinhe slid over to the film queen, Yu Fei, smoothly offering to stand in as her partner since she was alone. But she coldly and immediately rejected him. Now honestly, guys, you have to love that instant shutdown. After this, another stunning woman in a white dress stepped into the venue, commanding the room's attention. Xiao Lin froze in absolute panic, quietly asking why she was here. A confused Ling Xiu asked if he knew the famous banker and film investor, Su Minghua. Sweating profusely, Xiao Lin nervously admitted that she was actually his creditor. Show host shouted timer starts now, and everyone started push up and their parters on their back. In the next scene, the first brutal physical challenge began, and Su Minghua was completely losing her composure. She burst into laughter, leaning over and saying she couldn't take it anymore because their ridiculous position was just too funny. A struggling Xiao Lin, doing push-ups underneath her, groaned and complained that her sense of humor was terrible. Meanwhile, Wen Chao was violently sweating, furiously counting his push-ups up to 183 while carrying Chao Xinyu on his back. The delicate idol wailed that he couldn't take it anymore and begged to switch. Chao Xinyu eventually collapsed onto the floor in exhaustion, leaving incredibly annoyed Wen Chao glaring at him to get back up. Seeing the competition struggling, Ling Xiu leaned over Xiao Lin's back, nervously offering to switch places. Trembling under her weight, Xiao Lin shot back, asking how he could possibly let her do that. Looking frantic, Ling Xiu warned him that if they didn't do something soon, they were definitely going to lose. Xiao Lin gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his face. He locked eyes with his partner and declared, "Then I will do exactly as you say." Ling Xiu lay back, her face flushed with anxiety. She pleaded softly, "Please do not go too deep. I am afraid it will hurt." They were so close that they can even feel each other's breath. The camera panned across the chaotic studio. Contestants were pinned to the floor in completely compromising positions. The audience erupted in disbelief, shouting that this was no longer a legitimate variety show, while fans wailed that their goddesses were being ruined. Come on guys, who approved this game design? Wen Chao pressed his weight down heavily onto Chao Xinyu, trembling under the intense pressure of the awkward moment. Chao Xinyu squeezed his eyes shut, turning his head away as he finally admitted defeat. He cried out, "I give up." Wen Chao sprang back, his face bright red, and furiously pointed at Chao Xinyu. He yelled, "Why is your face turning red like a teapot? I'm not into guys." Meanwhile, Xiao Lin panted heavily, wiping the sweat from his brow. He stuttered, We seem to have one." With a joyous shout, he wrapped his arms tightly around Ling Xiu, lifting her off the ground as she laughed along with him. But guys, Gao Jinhe suddenly pointed a finger at them, a wicked smirk crossing his face. He sneered, "You winning? Dream on." Gao Jinhe proudly gestured to the massive digital scoreboard above them, showing his team had completely dominated the votes. He arrogantly announced that variety shows were not real competitions, and the audience did not care about actual results. Ling Xiu clenched her fists, her voice filled with frustration as she complained that all their hard work could not even compare to the other team's score. She cried out that it was incredibly unfair. Xiao Lin shook his head bitterly, realizing it was all because of their massive fan base. Xiao Lin narrowed his eyes with fierce determination. He firmly stated, "If we want to win, we must put in more effort." Just then, the cheerful announcer in the giant frog suit took the stage, raising his microphone. He enthusiastically announced the start of the second game, the ball battle. Ruby Ribbon walked among the contestants, handing a large red balloon to each pair. She explained the rules clearly, stating that they had to burst the balloon between their bodies within the time limit or face direct elimination. Instantly, when Chao violently grabbed Chao Xinyu by the shoulders, a menacing aura radiating from him, Chao Xinyu panicked and stammered, asking what he was planning to do. With a fierce grunt, Wen Chao slammed his body against Chao Xinyu, crushing the balloon between them until it popped with a loud snap. The fans in the crowd instantly started weeping, crying out to leave their poor idol alone. In the next scene, Ruby Ribbon lay back gracefully, a confident smile on her face as she boldly declared that the best team had arrived. She forcefully pulled Yu Fei down on top of her, trapping the red balloons securely between their bodies. She cheered, "Go for it." She winked playfully as they pressed tightly together, trying to force the balloon to burst with a finger. With a sharp pop, the balloon exploded into pieces. The two women high-fived, laughing joyously as they declared they absolutely had to win. The audience melted, chanting that even though it felt like cheating, they were just too adorable to disqualify. Look, I'm telling you guys, cuteness is clearly a valid strategy in this show. Meanwhile, Xiao Lin and Ling Xiu pushed against each other with all their might, but the balloons simply deformed without breaking. Xiao Lin gritted his teeth, demanding to know what was wrong with these balloons, as they were completely squashed but refused to explode. "Well, I also want to place my hand over there." Gao Jinhe stood off to the side, a sinister sneer twisting his features as he watched them suffer. He mocked Xiao Lin, claiming he only won the previous contest through sheer arrogance, and there was absolutely no way he would win today. He proudly confessed that he had bribed the entire staff from top to bottom. The balloon he gave them was made of high-tensile material, practically as tough as a yoga ball. His smile widened into pure malice as he whispered that even if they squeezed it forever, it would never pop. Desperate, Xiao Lin slammed his weight into Ling Xiyu again and again, causing her to cry out for him to be gentle. The fans in the audience went absolutely wild, screaming that they could not bear to watch their goddess suffer and volunteering to take Xiao Lin's place. Well guys, even I want to take his place, exhausted and frustrated, Xiao Lin finally slumped forward. He panted heavily and yelled that he gave up, demanding to know why the stubborn balloon just would not burst. Suddenly, a system notification popped into his vision, declaring his intimacy points had increased. Ling Xiyu leaned heavily against his arm, completely drained. She whispered weakly that she could not take it anymore, her legs were failing her, and asked if they should just surrender. But guys, Xiao Lin's eyes flared with intense determination. He gritted his teeth and sternly told her to please endure it for just a little bit longer. With a fierce roar, he stomped his foot down heavily, driving his knee upward with incredible force right into the balloon trap between them. With a thunderous explosion, the impossible balloon finally ruptured. The crowd gasped in pure shock, completely stunned by his relentless drive. People shouted in awe, wondering how he managed to break through, while others cheered him on, crowning him the invincible champion of the game. Looking at the screen, his rival was absolutely stunned. He saw Xiao Lin's soaring vote count and panicked, muttering to himself that he had completely messed up his plans. Ling Xiyu cheered loudly, but Xiao Lin was exhausted. Indeed, some skill is needed to win. Ling Xiyu leaned in and asked, "My dearest Lin, why do you always bending over?" Xiao Lin smiled and said, "I'm paying tribute to you." Meanwhile, system notifications flooded Xiao Lin's vision, showing his intimacy points with Ling Xiyu skyrocketing. She glanced back at him with a playful smirk, calling him a rascal. A glowing blue item card suddenly materialized in his hand. As he inspected the reward, Xiao Lin realized the items he received were directly tied to his contracted goddess's profession. Just then, the eccentric host Sir Croaksalot interrupted their celebration, cheerfully announcing that the finals would take place tomorrow and advising the players to rest up. Ling Xiyu immediately turned to Xiao Lin with a bright smile, teasing him that the dinner here was lavish and he was in for a real treat. But in the shadows, the top assassin Wen Chao and his boss Gao Jinhe were secretly plotting. When Chao coldly asked if he should eliminate the rising threat, and Jinhe, completely unhinged, agreed. Their dark scheming was quickly interrupted by the sharp-tongued Su Mingwei, who fiercely questioned if Gao Jinhe even had a brain left in his head. She stood tall, warning Jinhe about the sheer chaos and public outrage that would erupt if two high-profile contestants mysteriously vanished the night before the finals. Realizing his mistake, Jinhe agreed with her clever point, admitting he almost trapped himself. However, he insisted they still needed risky measures, reminding Wen Chao that the champion had to belong to their Haidong association. Su Mingwei confidently intervened, telling them to call off their assassins because she wouldn't let Xiao Lin take the title. She revealed she had explosive insider intel on Ling Xiyu and promised to sabotage the upcoming game segment by adding special ingredients. The next day, under the bright sun at a massive venue, the highly anticipated finals began. The host proudly introduced the game, Guess the Story, where the artists act and the managers guess the plot. Standing before the eager crowd, vest-wearing Victor explained the rules. Correctly guessing a story within the time limit earned a card, and those cards could be exchanged for precious votes. Holding up a blank card, the host cheerfully announced that only the artist could see the solution. But suddenly, a commanding voice echoed through the hall, demanding him to wait. It was Xiao Lin. He snatched the card box with an intense glare, insisting that they toss the cards in, shuffle them, and draw again to guarantee absolute fairness. Otherwise, he boldly declared he wouldn't accept the competition's results. The host began to sweat profusely, stuttering as he tried to respond. Leaning in with a dangerous smirk, Xiao Lin casually reminded him they were on live television, threateningly asking if he wanted an accident to happen on the show. As the host visibly trembled, Su Mingwei gave a subtle nod from the side. Narrowing his eyes, Xiao Lin thought to himself that there was definitely something fishy going on with the game setup. Terrified, the host nervously praised Xiao Lin's idea. With a forced smile, he tossed the cards back in the box, allowing Xiao Lin to confidently reach in and draw. Trying to recover his composure, the host handed the drawn card directly to Ling Xiyu, announcing that since Xiao Lin brought it up, their group would go first. But as Ling Xiyu flipped the card over, her eyes widened in pure horror. The prompt read, Lady Meng Jiang weeps at the Great Wall. Completely frozen on stage, her mind blanked out. She began trembling, awkwardly stuttering in confusion as her acting skills completely abandoned her. The audience couldn't hold back their laughter. The giggling gallery pointed and mocked her, brutally questioning if her bizarre, stiff performance was an illusion about constipation. Internally panicking, Ling Xiu desperately wondered how she got such an impossibly hard option. To make matters worse, a spectator loudly recognized her as the goddess of no tears, ruthlessly pointing out that she hadn't shed a single tear even at her best friend's funeral. From across the grand hall, the tension was palpable as everyone watched her agonizing struggle on the center stage. Trying to salvage the situation, Ling Xiu struck a dramatic pose, trying to muster up any trace of emotion for the crowd. Leaping forward with newfound energy, she dramatically thought about 3 years of silence, hoping her exaggerated movements would somehow convey the story. Completely misreading the room, Xiao Lin enthusiastically turned around and struck a ridiculous pose, confidently shouting out a completely wrong guess about dancing with rooster crows. Exasperated by the utter failure of their teamwork, Xiao Lin finally snapped, demanding to know why she wasn't performing properly. Blushing deeply and avoiding eye contact, Ling Xiu sheepishly admitted that her performance was completely off, leaving them both in a hilariously awkward stalemate. Ruby Ribbon crossed her arms and warned, "Xiao Lin, stop struggling. She's gained quite a few fans by now. It's enough for you to work with, so stop aiming for the championship." But guys, Xiao Lin wasn't about to back down. With a fierce glare, he declared, "I won't give up." Holding up a glowing mystical card, Xiao Lin shouted, "In my name I grant you this. Awaken, spirit of performance." Look, I'm telling you guys, that was the cheesiest line ever, but he completely owned it. With a sharp hiss and a heavy thud, the glowing energy from the card struck Ling Xiu right in the forehead. Suddenly, tears streamed down her face. She dramatically wept. "Fan Shiliang, where are you?" Xiao Lin enthusiastically pointed at her and announced to the crowd, "Lady Meng Jiang weeps at the Great Wall." They guessed the correct answers again and again. In the next scene, Ling Xiu's demeanor shifted completely. Taking a fierce martial arts stance, she shouted, "Mu Guing leads the troops." Then, she elegantly twirled, whispering, "The broken bridge in snow." Xiao Lin was absolutely mesmerized, thinking to himself, "Oh my, she suddenly unlocked her acting potential. Who still says she can't act? I'm in love. I'm in love." The transformation was flawless. Chao Xinyu gasped in disbelief, asking if this was really a newcomer's acting. Even the veteran actress Yu Fei was stunned, admitting, this acting, without at least 50 years of experience, wouldn't be this smooth to transition between. Just then, the host, vest-wearing Victor, grabbed his microphone in shock. "Oh my, Ling Xiu's vote count has actually surpassed Chao Xinyu and Yu Fei's, and it's still rapidly rising." Meanwhile, Gao Jianhe was losing his mind. He aggressively barked into his phone, "Get the online armies ready now, boost those vote counts." Almost instantly, Chao Xinyu's votes shot through the roof on the big screen, proving it was the era of popularity indeed. Thinking he had secured the victory, Gao Jianhe popped a bottle of champagne, a crimson mist of bubbly spraying everywhere. "We won," he cheered alongside a beaming Chao Xinyu. Xiao Lin stepped up with a devious smirk and interrupted, "You're celebrating too soon." Holding up a stack of small white cards, he reminded everyone with absolute confidence, "Remember, the card we guessed to be exchanged for votes." He walked straight to the announcer and handed them over. Staring down his rival, he mocked, "How many votes can we get from just these cards? You're lagging behind by 100,000 votes." Victor the host eagerly counted them up and shouted, "There are a total of 18 cards. Each card exchanges for 10,000 votes. Ling Xiu, 1.88 million votes." Gao Jian's jaw dropped. His face turned red with anger as he yelled, "What? Are you kidding me?" Xiao Lin wasn't going to let him off easy. He taunted him, "Gao Jianhe, have your sights grown too high? Can't you lower your head a bit?" Gao Jianhe replied, "It's not like only you have cards. I have them too." Panicking, Gao Jianhe whipped his head toward his teammate. "How many votes do we have?" he demanded. Chao Xinyu nervously stuttered, "3 cards." The realization hit Gao Jianhe like a ton of bricks. The final tally was locked in. Chao Xinyu at 1.83 million and Yu Fei at 1.76 million. Confetti rained down from the ceiling as Ling Xiu leaped into Xiao Lin's arms. "Xiao Lin, we've won," she cheered. With a gentle blush, Xiu looked into his eyes, thinking to herself, a variety show with 90 intimacy points added. We've hit the jackpot. Afterwards, the scene shifted to the outside of a towering, grand Gothic building bathed in warm sunlight. Outside, Ruby Ribbon confronted them. She crossed her arms, her face filled with worry. "Why don't you listen? I told you not to win. This has affected a lot of people's interests. Every one of them is not someone you can afford to provoke." Xiao Lin's expression grew serious. "In the past, I always ran away and didn't help my father with anything," he explained. "He's gone now. I can't back down anymore. I won't let the Qiling group disappear." Ruby Ribbon looked at him with deep concern, warning, "But this path is too dangerous." Without hesitation, Xiao Lin firmly grasped Shiyu's hand and led her away. "Even if it's dangerous, I've committed to this path," he declared boldly. "When life hangs by a thread, why bother being sentimental?" Ling Xiu blushed deeply as he pulled her along, muttering softly, seriously, as they walked off into the city together, ready to face whatever came next. Xiao Lin was taking a peaceful stroll with Ling Xiu. Testing him, she curiously asked, "Is your relationship with her more than just a debt? I can see she genuinely care." Xiao Lin sighed, explaining, "We were classmates since childhood, but our families were competitors. After she took over the company, our relationship grew distant. She nudged his arm playfully. "Oh, so you were childhood friends," she teased. Xiao Lin chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "Not really," he admitted. "Back then, I was into literature and didn't like her focus on quick success. We weren't particularly close." His expression turned serious as memories flooded back. "I only cared about poetry and distant places back then," he reflected softly. "I never took my father's expectations seriously. But now, I realize how much he carried on his own." Suddenly, Xiao Lin noticed something off. He looked at her intently and asked, "Why can't you cry?" But friends, this is where the story gets interesting. Before he could get an answer, she vanished. Xiao Lin spun around, panic rising. "Where is she?" he muttered, scanning the empty street. Just then, he spotted a massive, muscular man sprinting away with Ling Xiu slung over his shoulder. Xiao Lin gritted his teeth and shouted, "What the? Are you kidnapping people right in front of me? Let her go." Xiao Lin bolted after them, his legs burning. The giant kidnapper, known as Bomber, glanced back with a mocking smirk. "You want to compare speed with me?" he sneered. "You're overestimating yourself. Come on, guys, like running with a whole person on your shoulder is a walk in the park." With a powerful leap, Bomber bounded into the back of a large shipping container truck. Xiao Lin rushed forward, his eyes widening in alarm. Inside the dark container, Ling Xiu struggled, covering her nose as panic set in. "Boss, don't come in," she cried out. "Something's off with the smell in here." Suddenly, a heavy boot slammed down on a control panel, triggering a hidden mechanism with a sharp click. Without hesitating, Xiao Lin dove straight into the trap. He thought to himself, "If I can't even protect the contracted goddess, what right do I have to talk about revenge?" He yelled out, "Can this kind of thing be delayed? If it's delayed, things will get infinitely worse." The moment he landed inside, the heavy metal doors slammed shut behind him with a resounding thud, trapping them all in the darkness. The floor beneath them hummed with a strange energy, sending them falling. Bomber, realizing he was trapped too, frantically pounded on the walls. "Hey, don't close the door," he roared in panic. "I haven't left yet." Meanwhile, in a secure room, Gao Jianhe sat before a glowing monitor, a sinister smile spreading across his face. He pressed a key with a sharp click and whispered, "Bomber, sorry, I have to inconvenience you. Once I deal with Xiao Lin, I'll naturally let you out. I'm telling you guys, never trust a villain in a green suit." Back in the container, Xiao Lin wasn't holding back. He launched a flurry of rapid punches at Bomber, striking with heavy thuds. "You scoundrels," Xiao Lin demanded furiously. "Where you up to?" Bomber stumbled, his face bruised and battered. But instead of fighting back, he just grinned a wicked, breathless smile. "It's useless," he gasped. "You'll be done for soon. Don't you feel like your strength is decreasing?" Xiao Lin's vision began to blur, a sudden wave of dizziness washing over him. His fist trembled as realization hit. "Oh no," he cursed under his breath. "It's a sedative." His legs gave out, and he collapsed heavily onto Ling Xiu's lap. Tears streamed down her face as she held him. "Boss, it's all my fault for dragging you into this," she sobbed. "You shouldn't have risked yourself for me." Xiao Lin offered a weak, reassuring smile. "You're mine," he whispered softly. "I won't let anything harm you." Ling Xiu's eyes widened, deeply moved by his words. "All these years, no one has ever said such heartwarming words to me," she confessed, her voice trembling. "I really wish I could always be by your side." She paused, taking a shaky breath. "Didn't you want to know why I couldn't cry before? I'll tell you." The scene shifted to a painful childhood memory. A young, hungry Ling Xiu tearfully begged for food, crying for her missing father. But her abusive mother was merciless. She struck the little girl and hissed venomously, "Who allowed you to cry? If you dare cry in front of your dad, I'll leave a devastating mark on you." Now honestly guys, anyone would be scarred for life after that. Back in the present, Xiao Lin gazed up at her, his heart aching. "I never thought you had such an unfortunate childhood," he murmured sympathetically. A gentle, bittersweet smile graced Ling Xiu's lips as tears finally flowed freely. "But you've healed me," she said softly. "I can cry now, and I cry for you." In the next scene, the tranquil waters of a secluded dock were disturbed by a grim sight. Xiao Lin and Ling Xiu lay unconscious on the cold stone, tightly bound to heavy, sinking weights. Standing over them, Gao Jin has sneered, "Xiao Lin, aren't you quite stubborn? Let's see how you survive this time." Without a second thought, the silver-haired assassin, Wen Xiao, callously shoved Xiao Lin's bound body over the edge. Xiao Lin plummeted into the depths with a massive splash, the heavy rock pulling him down into the icy abyss while the two villains watched coldly from the pier. Wen Xiao turned to his boss. "What about the bomber?" he asked, glancing at their unconscious lackey left on the pavement. Gao Jin scoffed with arrogance. "Why bother with someone like that? Let him deal with his own mess." Meanwhile, deep underwater, the freezing current surrounded Xiao Lin. But suddenly his eyes snapped open, filled with a sharp, undeniable determination. Even bound and sinking, he didn't panic. A glowing golden card materialized in the water beside him. He thought to himself, "There's always a way out. Thankfully, I still have a few cards the system gave me." Deep underwater, Xiao Lin's eyes snap open. With a swift movement, he shatters the ropes binding him to the heavy anchor, breaking free. He doesn't swim up to safety, guys. Instead, Xiao Lin dives deeper, desperately reaching out for Ling Xiu, who is still sinking into the dark depths. Ling Xiu drifted completely unconscious, the last breath escaping her lips as the cold water swallowed her. He held her in his arms and thought, oh no, she's drowning. But Xiao Lin grabs her. He pulls her close and presses his lips to hers, sharing his own air in a desperate bid to keep her alive. Trust me, guys, this guy knows how to make an underwater rescue look like a movie scene. In the next scene, the blinding sun shines down as Xiao Lin gasps, his eyes fluttering open to the bright sky. Ling Xiu coughed up water, holding her chest tightly as she stammered, asking if she was dead. Xiao Lin gave a reassuring smile and replied gently, don't worry, we're still alive. But guys, this is where the story gets intense. Xiao Lin's smile vanishes as he steps over a defeated thug on the ground, his eyes burning with fury. He declared, though the father is gone, the trouble in life hasn't ended. Gao Jianhe, today I'll settle things with you once and for all. With a swift grab, he hauls Bomber up by the collar, delivering two sharp, ringing slaps to his face. Wake up, Xiao Lin shouted. Bomber's head spun wildly as he muttered, asking why everything was spinning. Bomber finally focused his eyes and panicked, screaming in pure shock. You're okay? Xiao Lin tightened his grip, his voice dripping with danger as he demanded to know where Gao Jianhe was, threatening to bash his head in if he didn't speak. But Bomber gritted his teeth and spat back. Even if you end me, I won't tell. I'll never betray the boss. Well, Xiao Lin didn't hesitate. With a heavy thud, he unleashed a devastating punch, sending the loyal thug crashing hard into the dirt. Then, as Bomber scrambled away in terror, Xiao Lin called out coldly, telling him to go back and warn Gao Jianhe to clean his neck and wait for him. Cut to the neon lights of the Wild Wolf Disco, where Bomber burst through the doors, screaming in panic. Boss, there's trouble. Xiao Lin says he wants to finish you. Inside the VIP lounge, Gao Jianhe was living it up, completely relaxed with two girls by his side. He burst into laughter and arrogantly mocked Bomber, saying his information was outdated because he had already taken care of Xiao Lin. Guys, why villains always celebrate way too early? Bomber scratched his head, utterly bewildered. He mumbled, taken care of? Just now he beat me up. The color drained from Gao Jianhe's face. He shot up, his eyes wide with disbelief as he yelled, just now? How's that possible? With a deafening crash, the heavy door was kicked wide open. Xiao Lin strolled into the room, a chilling smile on his face as he asked, Gao Jianhe, surprised? Bomber panicked, screaming at Xiao Lin, demanding to know how he found their boss. Gao Jianhe, absolutely furious, turned on his own man and roared, you rat, you let him here. Desperate, Gao Jianhe grabbed his walkie-talkie and screamed for someone to finish Xiao Lin off. Instantly, a squad of enforcers in sharp white suits flooded into the room, charging straight at our hero. The goons lunged at him, laughing maniacally as they thought they had the upper hand. But Xiao Lin simply roared, back off. With a terrifying burst of golden energy, a massive shockwave violently blasted the entire squad away. Gao Jianhe watched his men fly through the air and stammered in pure horror. What the heck, over already? Stepping over the fallen bodies, Xiao Lin locked his deadly gaze on his target and declared, Gao Jianhe, let's settle this. Just then, the golden assassin, Wen Chao, stepped smoothly in front of his boss, blocking the path. He smirked, stating that Xiao Lin's survival was completely unexpected, especially since an ordinary person couldn't possibly undo the sailor's knot he had tied. Xiao Lin stopped, his expression hardening as he asked, you're the golden assassin, Wen Chao, right? Wen Chao's eyes narrowed dangerously. With a sharp metallic ring, he drew his glowing blue blade and shouted, since you know my name, give me your life. The assassin lunged, unleashing a massive, sweeping arc of blue energy. Xiao Lin easily dodged the deadly strike. As Wen Chao taunted him to show his true power, Xiao Lin coldly asked, did you end Li Hao Xuan? Wen Chao swung his blade again with brutal force, arrogantly confessing, that's right, I silenced him for good. Suddenly, Xiao Lin's sharp instincts flared. A dangerous glint caught his eye, and he realized the fight was far from over. At this time, the elite golden assassin, Wen Chao, lunged forward, swinging his blade with terrifying speed. Gao Jianhe smirked maliciously from the sidelines, shouting, you have no way to retreat anymore. This time you are done for. Wen Chao tightened his grip on the hilt, pouring all his strength into what he believed would be the final, fatal strike. But guys, nobody could have imagined this. With a blinding flash of golden light, Xiao Lin's counterattack met the assassin's weapon. With a sharp hiss and a heavy thud, the blade completely shattered. Wen Chao's eyes widened in sheer horror. He stuttered, break? It is broken? But it was made from cold, forged steel. How? Xiao Lin didn't waste a single second. With a furious roar, he yelled, face your end, and unleashed a massive, golden wave of energy. The impact left a devastating mark, sending a crimson mist into the air as Wen Chao's threat was permanently ended. Seeing his ultimate trump card fall, Gao Jianhe completely lost his arrogant composure. Sweating profusely, he stepped back and stuttered out, Xiao Lin, do not go wild. We can talk. Xiao Lin shot him a terrifying glare. He coldly asked, talk? You have been hindering me step by step. Have you ever considered having conversation with me before this? Before Gao could even blink, Xiao Lin stepped forward and drove his blade straight into Gao's shoulder with a sharp slicing sound. Xiao Lin warned him sternly, I am Xiao Lin, not someone easy to mess with. Look, I'm telling you guys, billionaires sure know how to grovel when their life is on the line. Gao Jianhe collapsed to the floor, frantically waving a contract. He screamed out in panic, the 220 billion that Xiao Lin Group owes me. Let us write it off. Use this to buy my life. Xiao Lin snatched the paper, looking down at the pathetic man with utter contempt. He calmly remarked, your life, Gao Jianhe, is really worth quite a bit. Desperate to save his own skin, Gao Jianhe quickly spilled even more secrets. He confessed, also, President Gong Manli has sent 3 golden assassins to Xiao Lin Mountain Villa. It seems they want to eliminate your maid, but the exact reason, I am not sure. The moment he heard that, Xiao Lin's face turned completely pale. He gasped in shock, Xinzi? Filled with rage over the threat to his tenant, Xiao Lin threw a brutal punch right into Gao's face, shouting, go to the abyss. Just then, a loud voice echoed through the room. Xiao Lin, put down the weapon quickly. It was none other than the fierce police officer Luo Yanin, arriving at the scene with her arms crossed and a deadly serious expression. Seeing the police, Gao Jianhe shamelessly clung to her like a lifeline, sobbing dramatically. Officer Luo, you are my birth mother. Disgusted, Luo Yanin coughed awkwardly and snapped, shut up, do not fabricate relationships. Xiao Lin just looked away, completely unamused by the ridiculous display. Officer Luo glared at Gao and muttered, consider yourself lucky. Not wanting to be delayed while Yuxian was in danger, Xiao Lin quickly tried to go from there, but Officer Luo stoked him, wait. The situation is not clear yet. He pulled out his phone and argued, the perpetrator has already been apprehended. I acted in pure self-defense. He proudly displayed a video of the defeated golden assassin on his screen, sarcastically adding, yes, I ended him to cover it up. Luo Yanin let out a heavy sigh, realizing she couldn't hold him. She warned him, all right, you can leave now. Xiao Lin, you better not step out of line. Otherwise, I will make sure you face the law. Meanwhile, over at the luxurious Xiao Lin Mountain Villa, the beautiful Yuxian was peacefully relaxing by the shimmering blue swimming pool, completely unaware of the approaching danger. But guys, the real twist hasn't even started yet. Suddenly, her sharp assassin instincts triggered. Her eyes widened as she sensed an overwhelming, lethal intent. From the shadows, a black revolver aimed directly at her. With thunderous explosions, multiple shots were fired. Yuxian gracefully leaped backward, her incredible agility allowing her to narrowly dodge the blasts as they shattered the concrete around the pool. Stepping out into the light were 2 fearsome figures, the teal-haired white-suit assassin and her partner, the baldy in the black suit. The white-suited assassin lunged forward, unleashing a fierce, sweeping blue energy slash. Yuxian effortlessly vaulted high into the air, letting the deadly attack pass right beneath her feet. As she landed gracefully on the ground, the bald assassin immediately followed up with a crushing overhead swing, leaving her no room to breathe. Just then, a 3rd enemy rushed onto the battlefield, dual-wielding black revolvers. It was Golden Assassin Yu. He sneered at her, shouting, Yuxian, you have betrayed the organization. Today, I am here to settle this. The black and white duo coordinated a flawless joint attack, striking from above and below with terrifying precision as they proudly announced their titles. Yuxian found herself completely cornered. Without her sniper rifle, and surrounded by 3 elite golden assassins, the situation looked incredibly dire. A menacing voice echoed, this time, it is over completely. Suddenly, a brutal strike tore through the air, leaving a devastating mark. A shocking figure intervened just in the nick of time, blocking the sword. The assassins gasped in disbelief, questioning, leader of the 100 vigilantes? It was Xiao Lin. He dashed onto the scene with a swift sliding sound, shouting, Xinzi, I come to save you. Yuxian gasped in shock, crying out his name as he approached. Without missing a beat, he wrapped his arms around her and seamlessly scooped her up. Holding her tightly bridal style, Xiao Lin sprinted forward, his face etched with worry as he asked, are you okay? Meanwhile, the golden assassin, Yu locked onto his targets. Gripping his massive revolver, he pulled the trigger with a fiery blast. Bright streaks of energy tore through the air, but Xiao Lin moved with unbelievable agility, dodging every single strike as they smashed into the ground with heavy impacts. Yu gritted his teeth, completely stunned. He yelled, what incredible speed! He managed to dodge everything. Chase them. After this, Xiao Lin carried Yuxian deep into the sprawling, twisting paths of a massive hedge maze, using the dense greenery to lose their pursuers. Flustered and blushing, Yuxian protested, put me down quickly. But Xiao Lin just smirked, playfully teasing her. Your skin feels so smooth. Come on, guys, is this really the time for flirting? Yuxian wasn't about to back down. She tugged at her outfit with a confident, sly smile, challenging him. What? Do you want me to let you have a feel first? Xiao Lin effortlessly tossed her over his shoulder and kept running. We'll talk about that later, he said, prioritizing their survival. Right now, we have more important matters to attend to. His expression turned dead serious as he focused entirely on their escape, his eyes sharp with determination. The black and white duo, armed with gleaming katanas, leaped forcefully over the hedge right where they had been standing. Xiao Lin pressed himself into the leaves, holding his breath as the bald assassin looked around in confusion, muttering, "Damn, where did they go? How did they suddenly disappear?" The bald assassin gripped his sword tighter, stating confidently to his partner, "He can't have gone far. He's still in this vicinity." His partner, the teal-haired assassin, narrowed her eyes suspiciously. "Could he be hiding in here?" she asked, fiercely stabbing her blade straight into the dense bush. The sharp steel sliced through the foliage, missing Xiao Lin's face by mere inches. He immediately clamped his hand over Yu Xian's mouth to silence her gasp. Now honestly, anyone would panic here. Unaware of how incredibly close they were, the assassins pulled their weapons back and dashed off, calling out, "Let's check up ahead." As the footsteps finally faded, Xiao Lin let out a long sigh of relief, holding Yu Xian close. "We've managed to evade a disaster," she whispered softly. With a clever smile, he looked down at her. "Follow me," he instructed confidently. "I have a way to deal with them." Staying low to the ground, the two of them crawled stealthily through the dirt, making absolutely sure they weren't spotted. Xiao Lin reached a hidden panel in a nearby concrete wall, popping it open with a soft click. He led her into a massive, fully equipped surveillance room. Yu Xian looked around in pure awe, asking, "What is this place?" Xiao Lin smirked. "This is my secret base." He leaned comfortably over the glowing monitors, explaining, "I built it when I was a kid playing hide and seek. There's food and tech here, and no one has ever found me here, no matter how long I hid." Yu Xian's sweat dropped, shaking her head as she laughed nervously. "Indeed, the life of wealthy people is unimaginable," she admitted. With a satisfying click of the mouse, Xiao Lin quickly activated the hidden cameras scattered all across the sprawling maze. Instantly, the screens lit up, displaying crystal-clear footage of the assassins wandering aimlessly through the various paths. Yu Xian crossed her arms, a highly confident and dangerous smirk spreading across her face. "They made a fatal mistake," she noted sharply. "They scattered instead of staying together." She turned to Xiao Lin, holding up her weapon with a glint in her eye. "I'll put on my Bluetooth earpiece, and you can inform me of their positions," she declared. "Then you can enjoy the show. Well, I want this kind of hot made too." Out in the maze, a masked minion was patrolling, completely unaware. Suddenly, a blade struck from the shadows, instantly taking him out before he even knew what hit him. Then she grabbed him into the bushes with a heavy thud. The counterattack was officially underway. Suddenly, Yu Xian lunged from behind. With a swift strike, she ambushed the masked guard. With a sharp hiss, she pulled her blade back, leaving a devastating mark. Meanwhile, in the security room, a voice echoed, "Left alley, up ahead. 3 assassins moving north." "Well done." Watching the screens intently, Xiao Lin was impressed. He thought, compared to these assassins, Xinzi seems more like an assassin, and a high-level one at that. Leaning closer to the monitor, his eyes narrowed at Yu Xian. "Why does her face look so familiar?" he murmured to himself. On the screen, Xiao Lin covered the lower half of her face, her sharp eyes glaring intensely. Just then a realization hit Xiao Lin like a truck. He gasped, "Damn, she's the assassin who tried to end me. Guys, I told you he's a complete idiot." He broke into a nervous sweat, blushing deeply as his thoughts ran wild. "Dear landlord, today I've brought trouble to your doorstep. How do you want to punish me tonight? Do you want to see me in a maid outfit or in Lolita style?" Back in the garden, Yu Xian fiercely swung her knife, but the golden assassin, Yu Ji, leaped back, guns blazing. "You let your guard down," he mocked. Seeing the danger on the screen, Xiao Lin slammed his hands on the desk and shot up. "Ah, Xinzi," he cried out in panic. Without a second thought, he bolted toward the garden, shouting, "Xinzi, wait for me. I'll save you." But suddenly, as he rushed outside, he looked up in shock. What? From above, the teal-haired and bald assassins were diving straight down at him. Xiao Lin quickly drew his blade, his eyes completely focused. "It's your bad luck that you meet me today," he declared confidently. The teal-haired assassin swung her katana. "That's quite the bold statement," she sneered. Rushing in right beside her, the bald enforcer roared, "I'll end you right here." What followed was an intense clash of steel. Xiao Lin expertly parried their attacks, sparks flying everywhere as he held off both assassins at once. Finding an opening, he pushed forward with a massive thrust. "Go," he shouted. With a powerful surge of energy, a devastating blast hit the bald assassin squarely in the chest, sending him flying backward with a painful scream. Furious at seeing her partner fall, the teal-haired woman leaped aggressively. "You arrogant fool, I'm going to end you." But Xiao Lin was just too fast. He unleashed a blinding, glowing slash, striking her down as he coldly stated, "You're too slow." Standing victoriously over his defeated foes, he muttered, "People from Haidong society should all perish." Meanwhile, just a few yards away, Yu pointed his revolver with a wicked smile. Rest easy on your way to hell. Yu was on the ground, clutching her injured stomach. Okay, but don't harm Xiao Lin, she pleaded weakly. He's just an immature young man. Surrounded by his armed minions, Yu looked down at her. Fine, I'll talk to President Gong for you. But Yu wasn't about to beg. She smiled defiantly, her eyes wide. Then fire away. I've ended so many people. I want to see how terrifying death truly is. But guys, Xiao Lin burst out from the tall grass, rushing toward them. Wait, he yelled desperately. Startled by the sudden intrusion, Yu quickly aimed his gun at Xiao Lin. Stop right there, he commanded. Xiao Lin stopped and raised a hand peacefully, holding his blade in the other. Compared to Xinzi, your boss should be more interested in me, right? Take me to see your boss. Yu smirked, keeping his weapon raised. If you want to meet my boss, then you'll have to cripple one of your legs first. Otherwise, I won't agree to it. Xiao Lin's expression turned incredibly serious. He stared coldly and replied, fine. Without a single moment of hesitation, Xiao Lin swung his sword straight down into his own thigh. A crimson mist erupted as the blade pierced him. Yuji's eyes widened in sheer disbelief. What? No hesitation, he stammered out, completely shocked. Tears streamed down Yu Xian's face as she screamed in horror. Xiao Lin, are you crazy? Is it worth it for me? Breathing heavily, a gentle blush crossed Xiao Lin's face. He smiled softly. I don't know if it's worth it or not. All I know is that you've been good to me, and I can't watch you perish. After this, Yu finally lowered his weapon, ordering his men to grab the injured Xiao Lin. Let's go, he instructed. I'll take you to see President Gong. Watching him get dragged away, Yu Xian completely broke down in tears. You're so foolish. You idiot, she cried out. Come on, guys, who wouldn't be moved by sacrifice like that? The scene opens outside a brightly lit building. The large sign above the entrance reads, Made Murder Mystery, but what's waiting inside is no game. Inside, heavy tension filled the air. Xiao Lin was forced to his knees, a dark stain marking his side, securely held down by masked minions. Beside him, Yu Xian was also restrained. A pair of elegant heels stepped into view. Gong Monli smirked as she looked down at the captured assassin. Yu Xian, you never saw this coming, did you? She taunted. Xiao Lin turned his head, completely shocked. Are you Yu Xian? He asked. She looked away guiltily. Yeah, sorry for not revealing my real name, she confessed. Suddenly, a realization hit Xiao Lin, and his eyes sparkled with hope. He thought to himself, wait, isn't Xinzi the goddess I'm supposed to contract with? Yu Xian could only stare at him in utter confusion. Look, guys, he's literally being held hostage, and he's still thinking about his system contracts. Gong Monli wasn't finished exposing her. You not only kept your real name a secret, she declared, pointing a finger. You also didn't tell him the truth about getting shot outside the Star River building earlier, right? Desperation took over Yu Xian. She collapsed to the floor, pleading, Boss, please don't say it. I beg you. Gong Monli just tilted her head, amused. Why don't you want him to know? Tears streamed down Yu Xian's face. She stuttered that she wanted to leave a good last impression on him, sobbing that she didn't want him to hate her. But guys, this is where the story gets intense. With a swift and brutal motion, Gong Monli delivered a heavy kick right into Yu Xian. Dream on, Gong Monli screamed. Joining my assassin's guild and expecting a romance story? I've never even been with anyone. Why should you? I intend to make you suffer. Then, she turned her attention to Xiao Lin. Xiao Lin, you still don't know Yu Xian's true identity, right? She asked with a wicked grin. She's the top assassin in my society and the one who once shot you outside the Star River building. Panic flashed in Yu Xian's eyes as she reached out. Xiao Lin, don't listen, she cried. But instead of anger, Xiao Lin's face lit up with excitement. Wow, an assassin? So cool, he cheered. Then we don't have to fight, right? Yu Xian just sweat dropped, murmuring that he never changed. Gong Monli's expression darkened into a furious glare. Not fight? Are you two in love? She growled. All right, I'll let you two be. With a loud mechanical hum, a massive industrial grinder powered on. Gong Monli coldly ordered her men to toss them both into the machine to mix their remains. Xiao Lin immediately panicked, shouting, Hey, can't we talk instead of being so violent? Xinzi, say something too. Meanwhile, Yu Xian seemed completely at peace, blushing happily. Xiao Lin, it's nice to be able to die with you, she sighed softly. Xiao Lin stared at her in disbelief, realizing the girl had completely gone to dreamland. Now honestly, anyone would panic here. The masked men grabbed Xiao Lin and forced him toward the roaring machine. Get in, they barked. Seeing no other way out, Xiao Lin gritted his teeth. I can only rely on myself now, he thought. Suddenly, a system notification popped up. Xiao Lin instantly purchased a healing ointment, and in a flash of light, his wound completely healed. With a fierce burst of energy, he shattered the guard's hold, sending them crashing back. The guard stammered in shock, wondering how he broke free. Xiao Lin straightened his jacket, his eyes turning cold and serious. I don't need answers anymore, he declared. A powerful, glowing aura erupted around him as he stood his ground. You shouldn't have messed with me, he warned, his voice echoing with absolute authority. Just then, the golden assassin, Yu aimed his revolver right at Xiao Lin. How are you standing up? he demanded. But before he could fire, Yu Xian leaped into action. With a swift, fluid motion, she dashed forward, swinging her weapon with a sharp hiss to deflect the attack. The strike landed perfectly. Yu Ji's gun was sent flying into the air, and a crimson mist sprayed from his injured hand. He stumbled back, his eyes wide with disbelief. Not wasting a single second, Xiao Lin charged forward. His fist gathered a blinding energy, and he unleashed a devastating punch squarely at Yu Ji's chest. The impact hit with the force of a thunderous explosion, sending the assassin flying backward through the air like a ragdoll. With a heavy thud, Yu Ji crashed onto the hard floor, completely neutralized. Gong Manli watched the scene unfold, her eyes narrowing. Xiao Lin pointed directly at her. Gong, is the Haidong Society behind you? He interrogated. Then you should know what they did to the Qiling group, right? Gong Manli just scoffed. You don't need to ask me. I won't tell you any useful information. Then you'll be buried with the Haidong Society. Xiao Lin roared, dashing forward with incredible speed to finish the fight. But suddenly, several figures leaped from the shadows. A squad of assassins dressed in pastel pink made outfits surrounded him, brandishing sharp daggers. It's too early to say all this now, Gong Manli mocked. I haven't played all my cards. The pink psycho maids launched their assault. They moved with terrifying speed, unleashing a flurry of glowing red slashes that tore through the air, forcing Xiao Lin on the defensive. Xiao Lin struggled to keep up with the relentless attacks. He thought to himself, these maids turned out to be assassins with perfect coordination. Their attack strategy is incredibly tricky. My divine fist is completely useless here. Suddenly, with a burst of fiery impacts, Yu Xian rushed into the room, dual-wielding her weapons. She yelled, Xiao Lin, I'm here to lend you a hand. The pink-clad maids leaped through the air, dodging the barrage of incoming fire with frightening agility as Xiao Lin sprinted for cover. Meanwhile, Gong Manli descended from above with a crushing kick at Yu Xian. Gong Manli mocked her. Yu Xian, your shooting skills are incredibly lousy right now. Xiao Lin didn't hesitate. He dashed forward with a fierce glare, yelling, seeking death. But Gong Manli was ready. With a sharp whistling sound, she unleashed a devastating leg sweep, screaming, but don't underestimate women. With a heavy thud, Xiao Lin caught her leg midair. He smirked slightly and said, you got some strength there, but suddenly second leg came toward him, and Gong Manli just climbed on his shoulder. She started chalking him with her thighs, stating, do you know who the star assassin in our society is? It's me, no doubt. Wrapping her thighs tightly around his neck, she shouted, take my guillotine attack, she shouted. Now honestly, I have learned a new position. In a desperate bid to break free, Xiao Lin grabbed the first thing he could reach, which happened to be her hips. Startled, she snapped, huh? Don't touch me randomly. Her face immediately flushed crimson. Look, I'm telling you guys, even deadly assassins have their weak spots. She got so excited and shouted, you jerk, how dare you make advances on me? With a frustrated scream, she violently threw Xiao Lin off, sending him crashing heavily onto the hard floor. Yu Xian scrambled over to him, her voice filled with panic. Are you okay? She asked, helping him sit up while Gong Manli glared down at them. Yu Xian urgently warned him. She's trained in the Northern Tan Leg School. Her leg techniques are top-notch. We can't compete with her. Wiping his bruised face, Xiao Lin complained. Why didn't you mention that earlier? I got beaten up for no reason. Gong Manli raised her leg to attack, while shouting, but our boy is watching something else. He got a nosebleed, haha. Yu Xian gently wiped his nose with a soft smile. If I knew you liked to watch, I would have let you watch more, she teased softly. Unfortunately, there won't be a chance in the future. The atmosphere shifted. Xiao Lin looked at her deeply, murmuring, Xinzi. Her eyes sparkled with unshed tears as she confessed, Xiao Lin, the luckiest moment in my life is meeting you. She leaned in closer, gently caressing his face. Although our time together was short, she whispered, I can pass away without regrets. But guys, there's a villain nearby. Gong Manli was absolutely fuming, her face contorting with rage. Even at death's door, you're still teasing me? She shrieked. Furious at being ignored, she launched herself into the air, driving her foot down with crushing momentum. Darn it, she roared. Just then, a miraculous system chime echoed in Xiao Lin's mind. He had successfully formed a contract with Yu Xian. Rewarded with new abilities, he casually raised a single finger to block Gong Manli's devastating kick. A surge of immense power flowed through him. He confidently declared, with this finger, I can shatter rocks and cut through iron like butter. And with eagle-like eyesight, I can spot prey from 10 kilometers away. Golden energy crackled around his fingertips as he pushed back against Gong Manli's strike. The power arrived just in time, he stated coldly. A blinding burst of force erupted from his touch. Gong Manli cried out in shock as the overwhelming energy surged through her entire body. She was sent skidding violently backward across the floor. Struggling to regain her balance, she stammered in disbelief. How? How can you use your finger to stop my leg? Xiao Lin simply smirked, holding up his glowing fingers. My fingers are quite talented, he boasted cheerfully. Oh, my dirty mind, guys. Humiliated and enraged, Gong Manli pointed a trembling hand at him. End him for me. she commanded her squad of deadly maids, who immediately lunged forward like a swarm of hornets. Yuxian quickly stepped in front of him, raising her pistols defensively. Xiao Lin, my marksmanship won't work on them, she warned desperately. You should run. But Xiao Lin was completely unfazed. With a confident grin, he gave her a reassuring slap on the backside, transferring a glowing card into her. No need, he assured her. A magical aura washed over Yuxian. Her eyes widened in absolute astonishment as her senses dramatically heightened. She gasped in awe. What's happening? I think I see clearly now. With a barrage of deafening shots, Yuxian stood her ground, her dual pistols blazing as she unleashed a fierce counterattack against her ambushers. The pastel-pink psycho maids didn't even stand a chance, friends. With a series of heavy thuds, their weapons clattered to the floor as Yuxian's flawless aim instantly neutralized the threat. One of the maids gasped, completely stunned by the sheer accuracy of the shots. Smoke trailed from the barrel of Yuxian's gun as she glared at the defeated assassins scattered across the floor. She was completely unbothered, ready to finish what they started. But before she could act, Xiao Lin gently placed a hand on her arm. He said calmly, "That's enough, there's no need to be ruthless. I still have things to do." Yuxian blinked, completely confused. She asked, "What's there to do? Isn't it just cherishing beauty?" Xiao Lin let out an awkward cough, clearly caught off guard by her bluntness. Realizing something else, Yuxian looked at him in absolute awe. She asked what he had done to her back just a moment ago, amazed that her vision had suddenly become even sharper. Xiao Lin offered a smooth, confident smile. He explained that he had some knowledge of medicine and simply applied pressure to her pressure points. Overjoyed, Yuxian called him amazing. "Guys, I'm telling you, our boy knows how to lie." Thrilled by his help, Yuxian leaned in and planted a soft kiss directly on his cheek. Xiao Lin's face flushed slightly as he noted the massive boost in his system's intimacy points. Suddenly serious, Yuxian stepped back and apologized for the gunshot wound she had accidentally given him earlier, explaining she had some eye issues and couldn't see the target clearly. Pulling her close, Xiao Lin teased that if she felt guilty, she should make it up to him properly. Her eyes widened in innocent curiosity. She looked up at him and asked how she should make it up to him. Leaning in close to her ear, Xiao Lin playfully whispered his demands, suggesting a maid outfit, a nurse uniform, or maybe a flight attendant. Yuxian's face turned bright red as she shoved him away, flustered, and yelled at him to stop. Watching her pout, Xiao Lin suddenly had an epiphany. He thought to himself, Yilan has headaches, Man has zero sense of direction, Ling Xiu can't cry, and Yuxian has eye problems. He realized that all of his contract goddesses had their own unique flaws. He continued to ponder this revelation. Nobody is perfect, and true beauties always have their imperfections, just like the historical figures of the past. He wondered if all 36 beautiful women recorded in the Goddess Palace system shared similar flaws. A bead of sweat dropped down his face as a horrifying thought crossed his mind. He prayed silently, hoping he would never encounter one with terrible body odor. Suddenly, a heavy thud echoed through the room, snapping him out of his deep thoughts. President Gong Monli had been forced to her knees, completely restrained by Yuxian. Looking down at the defeated enemy, Yuxian coldly asked if she should throw her into the disposal. Xiao Lin nonchalantly agreed, suggesting they turn her into pet food since she wouldn't cooperate anyway. Panic immediately set in. Terrified, Gong Monli shrieked that she was willing to cooperate. But Yuxian snapped back, telling her it was too late. Desperate to survive, Gong Monli squeezed her eyes shut and yelled that she had an idea that could help Xiao Lin with his current troubles. That caught his attention. A sly smirk crept onto Xiao Lin's face as he ordered Yuxian to wait. Xiao Lin casually took a seat on the couch, crossing his legs with intense authority. He demanded her to speak. Trembling, Gong Monli explained that after Li Xinghe's demise, there was a vacancy among the core members of the Haidong Society, and Xiao Lin could fill that exact spot. Intrigued, Xiao Lin reached out and firmly pinched her chin, forcing her to look him directly in the eyes. His voice dripping with venom. He reminded her just how deep his grudge with the Haidong Society ran. Gong Monli stuttered, desperately trying to reason with him. She pleaded that staying alive in Haicheng should be his first priority, nervously reminding him that revenge is a dish best served cold. Xiao Lin's gaze darkened into a terrifying glare. He whispered dangerously, telling her she didn't understand him at all. He had to avenge his enemies on the exact same day, or he simply couldn't sleep. A sly, manipulative smile appeared on Gong Monli's face as she taunted him, asking if he really believed the Qilin group was destroyed solely by the Haidong Society. Xiao Lin's eyes widened in absolute shock. His calm demeanor shattered instantly as he demanded to know what she meant. Gong Monli revealed the grim truth. Someone else was entirely behind his father's downfall. The Haidong Society was simply an executioner following orders from the shadows. As for who gave those orders, she swore she didn't know. Xiao Lin fell silent, his mind racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. He realized that a much greater power was hiding behind the scenes. Joining the Haidong Society to investigate this shadow enemy might actually be his smartest move. He looked back down at the treacherous president. He declared coldly that he still didn't trust her. Suddenly, his hand flared with a brilliant, crackling blue energy. He shouted, "Force contract." He slammed his glowing palm directly onto Gong Monli's head. The system instantly chimed in, detecting her as a jade hairpin-level goddess, and initiated the forceful binding process. Gong Monli screamed in sheer agony as the intense power of the contract overwhelmed her body. The system confirmed the success, though it noted that due to their low intimacy, rewards couldn't be granted. Gasping for air, Gong Monli clutched her head in pure terror. She stuttered, begging to know what he had just done to her. Xiao Lin towered over her, his eyes cold and unforgiving. He warned her that she now bore his mark, and from this moment on, she belonged to him. He promised that if she ever dared to betray him, he would make her life an absolute nightmare.